Chapter 224. In the end, Li Shimin didn't punish them. They were just going through the motions. After all, the emperor didn't say how long they would be locked up. Anyway, they would be locked up for a breath. In the end, the three of them swaggered back to the residence, but they really didn't get their salary. This made the three of them groan, but they also knew that this was the best way. However, while they were happy, Wei Shuyu was upset. At this moment, the person carrying out the task of flogging him was Zhang Sunchong. Zhang Sunchong stared at Wei Shuyu, who was pressed into a chair, and slapped him hard on the butt. "Tsk, I don't know what your father said to the emperor. You were supposed to lose your head, but now you're only getting flogged, and I'm the one who personally checked. Lord Zhangsun, you have to be gentler. Don't forget what happened last year." I know. How can we be like that between brothers? I saw with my own eyes that you, Tang Sunchong, committed irregularities. Just as the two of them were squatting on the ground and chatting, Crown Prince Li Chengqian appeared behind them without even the sound of footsteps. The two of them were scared out of their wits. When they saw that it was the Crown Prince, the two of them rolled their eyes. "Chengqian, you're here to laugh at me too, aren't you?" Li Chengqian's appearance was very similar to Empress Zhangxuan's. He had a high nose bridge and perfectly inherited the bloodline of the Chang people. As for his dignified eyes, although he was only 17 years old, he gave off the aura of an emperor from head to toe, raising his originally handsome appearance to another level. However, these were all when he was facing others. When he met Zhang Sunchong, Wei Shuyu, and the others, he let go of everything that a crown prince should have. This was his favorite time. Li Chengqian sat cross-legged across from Wei Shuyu. Smelling the lingering scent of alcohol on his body, he said, "Previously, I was fortunate enough to drink a cup of Zhang Feng's fine wine with Imperial Father. That wine was truly delicious, but why do I smell even stronger alcohol on your body?" When I found out about this last night, I was puzzled. How could Wei Shuyu, who usually can't even get 3 jugs, get drunk before she even finished half a jug? If it wasn't for the fact that the person who said this was idiot Yuqi, I really wouldn't dare to believe this. "Don't mention it." Wei Shuyu rolled her eyes and pointed at her butt. "I'm about to be hit. Can't you say something nice?" Why was he thinking about wine the moment he saw her? Is the fine wine in the palace not enough for you? Hey! Originally, Imperial Father secretly told me to exempt you from the punishment. But now, it seems that you... Li Chengqian glanced at Wei Shuyu and slowly got up. When Wei Shuyu heard this, her eyes widened. He grabbed Li Chengqian. "Brother! Good brother! His Majesty already said not to hit you. How can you disobey the imperial edict? Let's go. Damn it, I don't know what I drank last night. Even now, my head hurts like it was kicked by a horse's hoof." As he spoke, Wei Shuyu no longer looked like someone who was about to be punished. Under the stunned gaze of the official, the three of them walked away with their arms around each other's shoulders. "Sai, Shuyu, how did the wine taste?" Zhang Sun asked. As for the taste, it was like drinking a ball of fire. Strong. Hey! That good? Of course. Otherwise, do you think I would get drunk with half a jug of wine? Last night, I saw His Majesty and the others drunk and thought that something was wrong, so I personally went to taste it to verify the authenticity of this wine. Wei Shuyu sighed. He basically leaned on Li Chengqian and Zhang Sun, allowing them to carry him out of the harem. As they walked, the three of them chatted casually. "Shuyu, I also secretly drank that wine once. Because of that, I was tied up, hung, and beaten by my father," Zhang Sun said with some lingering fear. However, when he mentioned Zhang Feng's wine, he couldn't help but lick his lips. Wei Shuyu and Li Chengqian couldn't help but look at Zhang Sun as if they were looking at a hero. "Brother Chong, how did the wine taste? Tell me, I keep feeling that something was wrong last night." His Majesty, the 4 of them, and Zhang Feng. Guess what happened to the 5 of them? What happened? The 5 of them drank 6 jugs of wine. Think about it. I can hold half a jug of wine, but I got drunk. Think about your fathers. How can their alcohol tolerance compare to strong young men like us? They could drink so much and still be fine, but I got drunk with half a jug. If I drank that jug, wouldn't I die? Hiss. Li Qingqian and Li Qingqian gasped when they heard this. Wei Shuyu's alcohol tolerance was somewhat well known in their circle. Other than the two idiot Yuchi brothers and that fool Chung Chumo, who could drink more than him. However, he got drunk all the time. However, the emperor and the others were fine after drinking so much? How could they not know the emperor and the others' alcohol tolerance? There was something fishy about this matter. What should we do? Li Qingqian suddenly stopped at the gate of the imperial city and asked. How about we go and take a look? I'll go. Chapter 225. How could they escape Li Shimin's eyes when the three of them had their arms around each other's shoulders? At this time, in the imperial study, Li Shimin looked at Qing Yaojin and Zhang Sun Wuji playfully and said, I didn't expect the friendship between these little rascals to be so good. It's all thanks to your majesty. It's my son's fortune to be valued by the crown prince. Zhang Sun Wuji hurriedly said. Li Shimin rubbed his head and waved his hand. Come on, let's think about how to deal with those people in the imperial court. I'm afraid last night's matter is already troublesome enough for us. As for the matter between the crown prince and Shuyu, anyone can see it. But this is a good thing. We will all grow old in the end, and the Tang dynasty needs this kind of friendship. Just like the relationship between me and you. Only this kind of friendship is the prerequisite to ensure that Qingqian can govern the Tang dynasty well. Li Shimin was very gratified. He had always been worried that the country they had conquered and the friendship they had built in this lifetime would end in their generation as they grew old, just like in history. But today, everyone went to take a look out of interest. They didn't expect the friendship between these little rascals to be even closer than blood brothers. Li Shimin couldn't help but feel very gratified. A true emperor was ruthless, but he also needed to govern with an iron fist. But the prerequisite was that he must have a group of people who really thought about him. In other words, they were loyal to him. And at this moment he saw it. He saw the future of the Tang dynasty. Li Shimin smiled and said, Do you think they will go to the tavern? Qing Yaojin scratched his head and said, Do you want me to go and catch them? Let them go. Li Shimin shook his head. However, what I'm worried about is that those brats will expose this matter to me. Zhang Sun Wuji also frowned slightly. I don't think so. They also heard the rumors about brother Zhang Feng from our ears. We are all in disguise. If they really dare to do this, old man will personally hang them at the city gate and beat them up. There's no need for that. If Dugo were to go, then there shouldn't be any problems. He knows how to take care of himself. Li Shimin suddenly thought of Dugo. His eyes brightened as he beckoned to Xiao Gizi, You go to the Du residence immediately and inform Du Ruhui of our intentions. On the other side, Zhang Sunchong, Li Qingqian, and Wei Shuyu, who were dressed like rich men, were walking on the streets of Chang'an city with their arms around each other's shoulders. They were like hooligans running around. But if anyone dared to say a word, Wei Shuyu would raise the Jin Wu Guard's badge and stamp that person's face. Just like that, they strolled like ducks all the way to the Qing residence. Li Qingqian stepped forward and waved the crown prince's token in front of the guard's eyes. Then he gestured for him to keep quiet. Go, call Qing Chumo out. Your Highness. Your Highness. Scram. Go and come back quickly. Tell him that this crown prince has an urgent matter to discuss with him. Yes, the guard was dumbfounded. He was so scared that he almost peed his pants. The crown prince always liked to scare people like this. Who in the Qing residence doesn't know that you're the crown prince? Do you have to wave your bright crown prince's token in front of my face every time you come? If you accidentally drop it on the ground, then all of us will be buried together with you. Although the guard was cursing in his heart, no one dared to say anything. He lowered his head and knocked open the door to Chung Chumo's room, who was snoring loudly. In an instant, the stench of his feet and sweat filled the air. Amidst the loud snoring, the guard seriously wondered if this kid would one day be suffocated to death by his own burnt smell. Lieutenant? Lieutenant? Wake up, Lieutenant. The crown prince is here. Lieutenant. After calling out a few times, Chung Chumo turned over and farted, then fell asleep again. Lieutenant, there's a new prostitute in Windward Tower. What? Kind. This time it really worked. As soon as he heard about the new prostitute, Cheng Chumo sat up and rubbed his eyes. The guard was speechless. If I didn't say that, you wouldn't be sleeping until tomorrow morning. It's not Windward Tower. The Crown Prince is looking for you. The Crown Prince. When Cheng Chumo heard this, he smacked his lips, rolled his eyes again, and fell asleep again. Tell Li Chengqian that I was on duty last night, so I don't have time to serve him now. Tell him to scram. Oh, what if this Crown Prince invites you to drink good wine? Do you want to go? Brother will take you to drink good wine? At this moment, Li Chengqian's voice sounded from the door. As soon as he heard the voice, Cheng Chumo turned over and continued to sleep with his head covered. Zhang Sunchong and Li Chengqian covered their noses. They wanted to enter, but in the end, they couldn't resist his overwhelming stench. In the end, they still compromised. Go, let's go to Zhang Feng's little tavern. Go if you want. Who wants you to freeload? Let's go, Zhang Sunchong. Let's go find idiot Yuqi and drink good wine at the little tavern. Little tavern? Zhang Feng? This isn't the wine that my father hid like a treasure? Zhang Feng to him. It's him. In an instant, Cheng Chumo woke up. He didn't even wear his shoes and suddenly roared, "You two bastards, stop right there." Chapter 226. On the main street of Chang. It was the busiest time in the market. At this moment, everyone was talking about what had happened last night. In front of a tea stall, someone seemed to be speaking in a low voice, but in fact, his voice was not soft at all. Have you heard? Last night, a large number of imperial guards suddenly conducted a carpet search in the East Market. Hearing that, the businessmen who were drinking tea at the tea stall or enjoying the cool air in the shade, waiting for customers, were all attracted by the news. Who doesn't know about this? Last night, someone knocked on my door. Almost everyone in the East Market knows about it, but it's a little strange. This has never happened before. Who said it wasn't? They came at midnight to check. Check what? The man who spoke earlier, who looked a little wretched, touched his mustache and said, "You don't know about this, right? Do you know? Who doesn't know that you're a hoodlum? Did you go to that widow's house last night?" Someone could not help but tease. It caused a burst of laughter. Obviously, this man's reputation was not very good. Hearing that, the sallow-faced man glared and said with a red face, "You don't have to tell me about this, I do know about it." "Then why don't you tell me? What are you waiting for? Just spit it out. It's a hot day, don't disturb my nap." Good. Today, I'll let you know how powerful Huang Daxian is. The man suddenly rolled up his shabby sleeves that were full of holes and said, "Last night, I pinched my fingers in that uninhabited house and saw that something big was going to happen, and then you were brought out? Finally, you were beaten by the officials?" Sleeping in a private house at night, even if it's an uninhabited place, you'll still be beaten. Huang Daxian, did you really hear something last night? Get lost. A bunch of vulgar people. Old man is a disciple of Longhu Mountain. The old man was slaying demons last night. Everyone curled their lips when they heard that. This guy could use this trick to deceive foreign barbarians in Chang'an, but what about them? When Huang Daxian saw that everyone had lost interest, he became anxious and decided to stop pretending. "I saw the Jin Wu guards last night." His words instantly attracted everyone's attention. Even Li Chengqian and the others, who were sitting at the stall and chatting with their heads lowered, were attracted to the scene. Everyone could not help but look at Wei Shuyu. "Yesterday don't ask me, go ask idiot Yuqi. That guy must have messed up the place again last night." Wei Shuyu curled her lips and said disdainfully. He threw out a few copper coins and roared, "Huang Daxian, come, tell me what happened last night. Otherwise, Lao Tzu will break your eyes." Huang Daxian looked at the clanking copper coins on the table and instantly beamed with joy. "Thank you, sir." He happily put the money into his pocket. At this time, Huang Daxian was even more confident. He looked disdainfully at the surrounding people who were faintly trying to run away. "Look at him. Last night, I saw the Jin Wu guards and the Imperial guards on the street behind Anning Square. They caught a rat next to the small tavern opposite Lao He's stall. Everyone was used to calling the Turkic spies rats. At this time, Wei Shuyu finally understood why the empress was so angry. So, this motherf asterisk cur, the emperor got drunk right under the nose of the two Jewish spies? When she thought of this, Wei Shuyu felt a chill run down her spine. What the hell? Guess what happened next? Where did the soldiers find more than 30 Hu ladies? There were more than 10 women from the Tang dynasty. Their figures, their looks. Even the most famous courtesan in Chang'an city can't compare to them. So, it's a pity that in the end, those soldiers took advantage of them. Huang Daxian was talking excitedly, but he didn't notice that when he said this sentence, the people who originally wanted to leave all ran away. Even the boss of the tea stall ran away. Huang Daxian took a sip of tea and was about to continue talking when he found this strange scene. He couldn't help but be stunned and turned his head slightly. At this time, he found that the young people who gave him the money were actually the tyrant of Chang'an city? Put on. Grandpa Cheng. I'm wrong. Cheng Chumo's name was resounding throughout the city. If he wore the armor, he would be the most handsome guard in Chang'an city. If he took off his skin, he would be one of the 4 stubborn bullies in Chang'an city, Xianxia. How could Huang Daxian not know this? At this time, Huang Daxian's whole body was trembling. Cheng Chumo's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Get out of Lao Tzu's face. Motherf asterisk cur, if you let Lao Tzu see you lying in Chang'an city again, Lao Tzu will break your 3 legs. Thank you, Grandpatin. While talking, Huang Daxian ran away scared witless. After that, everyone couldn't help but burst into laughter. I didn't expect Qin Xiaoya's reputation to be as big as before. Get out. Wei Shuyu's reputation is good? And Chongzi, you motherf asterisk cur, shut up Lao Tzu's mouth. Cheng Chumo was very depressed. He was one of the 4 stubborn tyrants, but why did everyone recognize him? It didn't make sense. If it wasn't for waiting for that stupid Dugo, who the hell would be willing to stay here and suffer such humiliation? Lao Tzu's reputation. It's all because of you bastards that Lao Tzu lost it. Chapter 227. Cheng Chumo's identity was exposed. However, everyone only knew their nicknames. No one knew their real names. Moreover, even if they were allowed to use their real names, they would not dare to do so. Not to mention other things, just the fiendish father at home would skin them alive. Not to mention, if other old fellows were to stab the emperor, then they would really die. Fortunately, in the end, everyone thought that it was better to have fun together than to have fun alone. They simply dragged all the people in Chang'an city into the trap. The largest tavern and the most luxurious brothel in Chang'an city were all properties that they bought with money. Therefore, these places became the gathering places of these stubborn people. In this regard, even if the ministers knew about this, when they saw that their good-for-nothing son was among them, they could only pinch their noses and accept it. Even Wei Zheng, who was known as the human mirror, did not ask about Wei Shuyu's matter under his wife's cries. He only said that if anyone dared to use the Wei family's name, he would cut them off. In this way, this group of stubborn people grew bigger and bigger. In the end, even the crown prince, Li Chengqian, was foolishly led into the trap. This time, this group of people became even bolder. As long as they were not seen by the stupid Yuqi's father, who was in charge of the curfew, anyone who saw them would have to bow their heads. However, even so, they did not completely drag everyone down with them. For example, Dugo. He was a fool who was determined to be the sage of Confucius. He had a big flat face all day long and a stubborn temper, so he had a nickname in the stubborn world of Chang'an city. Dugo. He was so stubborn all day long that he did not find it annoying. There were a few times when everyone coaxed him out, helped him enter the brothel, and even gave him the most beautiful girl for a night. They did not expect this guy to personally complain to everyone's father. Son of A.B. *K. You've eaten your fill, and now you're playing the blame game? Everyone was angry. After being beaten, the crowd did not like him very much anymore. He could do whatever he wanted. But this time, they didn't know what was wrong with him. When he heard that they were going to the tavern, This lunatic actually sent someone to ask them to wait here until his morning class was over. If he did not agree, he would immediately go to the palace and complain to the emperor. This was no longer fun. Everyone thought about it and decided to forget it. They could only hold their noses and bear with it. He's here, Du Dabing is here. Just when everyone was about to doze off from waiting, Du Go held a book in one hand, with one hand behind his back. Like an old man, he slowly paced back and forth while reading loudly. Everyone was dumbfounded by this scene. I say, brothers, has this idiot become stupid from studying too much? This was the main street. He can even read? Zhang Sun pursed his lips and said, I think this guy is very sneaky. Maybe this guy is just boasting. Damn it. Be on your guard. Wait, I'll make him drink the wine I didn't finish last night. Motherf asterisk cur, let him have a good night's sleep and shut up for Lao Tzu. Okay. That wine you mentioned, leave some for me. If it can make you drunk, then it can't be considered good wine. Just when everyone was pondering, Du Go walked in. Under everyone's disdainful gaze, Du Go patted his white robe and sat down elegantly. Sorry for the long wait, I just finished my morning class. Enough. Cheng Chumo waved his hand. Let's go. If we don't go now, the sky will be dark. Wait. However, Du Go was unwilling to do so. He slowly poured a cup of tea and gently blew on the cold tea. He slowly took a sip and said, I'm here with the Emperor's secret order. So, let's wait for a while. What did he mean? The Emperor? Could it be, damn it? Chengqian, did you tell your father? Wei Shuyu and the rest glared at Li Chengqian. Li Chengqian was also stunned. No. Only the few of us know about this. Besides, if father knows about this, won't I be in trouble? Everyone patted their heads and discussed. That's true. The crown prince leaving the palace incognito was a big taboo. Moreover, he went to a small tavern, a secret place where the emperor and everyone's fathers hid. If Li Chengqian said this, would the emperor agree? Only then did everyone sit down patiently and stare at Du Go, who was slowly drinking water. 15 minutes. He drank a bowl of cold water in 15 minutes. Everyone had the urge to beat someone up. Cough, cough. Du Go put down the teacup and took out a handkerchief to wipe the corner of his mouth. Then he folded the handkerchief and put it back into his pocket. Then he sat up straight and said, The emperor knows about you coming out, but he didn't stop you. Obviously, the emperor acquiesced. However, the emperor specifically asked me to supervise you. Do you know why? Everyone rolled their eyes. Du Go continued, This time, we must ensure that our identities and our father's identity will not be exposed. Then we must do, after that, and everyone fainted. Everyone was seriously wondering if this guy had caused him to fall ill by chanting scriptures like he was chanting scriptures. Wei Shuyu even hugged her head and buried it on the table. Her entire body was trembling. This showed how scary Du Go's nagging was. In the end, everyone used various methods to automatically filter out Du Go. Don't listen. Chapter 228. Zhang Feng was very tired. Last night he didn't know how he slept, but his waist hurt so much that it felt like it was about to break. What was even more exaggerated was that the entire shop looked as though it had been burglarized. Zhang Feng couldn't help but scratch his head in confusion. Did he go too far last night and tear down the shop? But that shouldn't be the case. Today, things were even stranger. After finding some carpenters to reconstruct the counter, he happened to hear that the Turkic stronghold next door had been destroyed by the Imperial Guards and the Chamberlain of Chamberlain last night. That was even stranger. Normally, the Chamberlains of Jin were the special forces that protected the imperial city. Why would they take action in the middle of the night? Furthermore, at this corner? Could it be that the emperor had been plotting all along and they already knew about the Turkic stronghold here? Then, they thought that when the cooperative was formed, they would take the opportunity to strike a blow to the Turkic people? Wasn't that just messing around? However, after thinking about it, Zhang Feng stopped thinking about it. Who was that? That was Li Shimin, the emperor of all time. How could the entire world know what he was doing? Furthermore, this master's brain wasn't something that an ordinary person could think of. However, on this matter, Zhang Feng couldn't understand Li Shimin. No matter how he looked at it, this wasn't the time. Furthermore, he sent out the chamberlains of Jin with great fanfare. Wasn't this just looking for trouble for himself? Zhang Feng was still thinking about how to carry out a big operation for these people. Now, it seemed like everything was over. After this incident, who would dare to show up in such a short period of time? Zhang Feng shook his head and stopped thinking about such unrealistic things. Looking at the half-filled jar of alcohol, his head was throbbing with pain. Hopefully, Lao Li and the rest were fine. However, just as Zhang Feng was rubbing his waist and preparing to go to the back room to check if there was a thief or if anything was missing, a person suddenly came up to Zhang Feng's face. Looking at that big face, Zhang Feng subconsciously slapped it. Who is it? Yo! After calling the two of them, Wei Shuyu saw that Zhang Feng was still in a daze. Wei Shuyu thought that Zhang Feng had drunk too much and wanted to check if he was breathing. However, she was inexplicably slapped. This time, both Wei Shuyu and Zhang Feng were stunned. It's you? Zhang Feng finally recognized the owner of this big face. Aren't you Lao Li's bodyguard? Did something happen to Lao Li? Wei Shuyu pouted. My father's surname is Wei. Guess who I am? Wei? You are Old Wei's son? Zhang Feng was dumbfounded. Old Wei's son was Lao Li's bodyguard? What kind of logic was this? However, at this moment, a few young men who were dressed like young masters in this era appeared. Moreover, they looked like hooligans. They walked with disdainful footsteps. They slowly walked into the small pub. The leading young man in a white robe looked somewhat similar to Lao Li. Behind him was a careless young man who deliberately kept his beard long. His actions were somewhat similar to Old Qin. As for the rest, you are... Li Chingqian gave a fist salute. Brother Zhang Feng. I am Lao Li's son. You can just call me Li Gan. Lao Tzu and your father call each other brothers. You call me brother. What would your father think if he knew? At this moment, Wei Shuyu stepped forward and introduced to Zhang Feng. Hey, brother Zhang Feng, this silly fellow is Old Chen's precious son, Chen Tiniu. This is that sour scholar, Old Du's son, Du Dabing. This is Old Sun's son. You can just call him Buggy. At the end, Wei Shuyu introduced Li Chingqian heavily. This is our god of fortune, Lao Li's precious son, Li Gan. Old Wei is my father. You can just call me Weizi. What kind of monster was this? Was this even a person's name? However, one should not slap a smiling face. Moreover, these were all Lao Li's precious sons. Zhang Feng gave a fist salute. I am Zhang Feng. Come. You are a guest. Have a seat. I am going to prepare some good dishes. Let's eat and drink? That would be great. Cheng Chumo laughed heartily. The slap made Zhang Feng's eyes roll violently. He was almost sent away. This slap made Zhang Feng feel as if a heavy hammer had hit his shoulder. What the hell was this? Was he swinging a sledgehammer at a construction site? The corner of Zhang Feng's mouth twitched. After a while, he finally calmed down. Cheng Chumo and the others acted as if they did not see it. After hearing Zhang Feng's words, their eyes were already looking around the small tavern. Brother Zhang, do you have the kind of wine he drank last night? He drank it? Zhang Feng did not react. He pointed to the counter and said, the wine is all there. Take whatever you want. I will prepare some dishes to go with the wine. As he spoke, Zhang Feng slipped away. He was a little afraid of Chen Tiniu. That F***king slap could kill someone. He did not know what this guy ate when he grew up. His slap was so strong. However, although he was depressed, Zhang Feng also had a lot of questions to ask them. He hurriedly prepared some dishes to go with the wine. In the tavern, Wei Shuyu and the others were squatting on the floor. They did not want any wine. They were just looking for half a jar of wine. But wine that could make Wei Shuyu drunk? They had to try it first. If they did not drink such good wine, what else could they drink? After a long time, they finally found half a jar of wine in a hidden compartment under the counter. Everyone gathered together and smelled the pungent aroma of the wine. Everyone was almost drooling. Even Du Go, who had a look of disdain on his face, was unable to sit still. He stretched his neck and looked at the jug of wine. Seeing that, Wei Shuyu hurriedly pulled out a bowl and filled it with wine. Resisting the urge to feel dizzy from smelling the wine, she handed the wine bowl to Du Go. Go, this bowl of wine is a toast from us brothers to you. Drink it? Everyone looked at Du Go eagerly. Li Chingqian even said directly, we might have to drink to our heart's content today. So, Brother Du, this bowl of wine is a toast from me to you. When Du Go heard this, even the crown prince offered him a toast. Drink. He bowed to Li Chingqian and said, thank you for the wine, Brother Li. As he spoke, he raised his neck and downed the wine. That's alcohol. You can't drink it. Chapter 229. Zhang Feng was carrying a large tray of meat. Just as he lifted the curtain, he saw Du Go drinking with his head tilted back. But when he smelled the smell in the air, he instantly realized that something was wrong. Just as he was about to shout, a bowl of wine went down Du Go's stomach. This time, Zhang Feng's eyeballs almost popped out. He clearly remembered that the alcohol was hidden in the secret compartment under the counter. This was something he had been praising for a long time. It was prepared to be used in emergencies. And this thing was very difficult to get. Basically, it took 10 caddies of wine to extract less than 1 caddy of it. Last night, half a jar was drunk. His heart was aching. Now that he saw this group of idiots drinking alcohol instead of wine, how could he not be angry? He hurriedly snatched the alcohol from Wei Shiyu's hand and said, this is alcohol. You can't drink it. Brother Zhang Feng, you must be joking. This wine, burp, is very strong. It's good wine. Du Go was dizzy from drinking. At this moment his face was as red as a monkey's butt. He laughed foolishly and wanted another bowl. Zhang Feng's face turned green. If he were to drink this, he would really die. He hurriedly hid the wine jar behind him and said, I have a lot of wine here. You can drink as much as you want. Just treat it as my treat. You can't drink this thing. Brother Zhang Feng, you're wrong. Why can't we drink such good wine? You're not kind. You can't bear to part with such good wine. Faced with the words of Chengchumo and the others, Zhang Feng shook his head like a rattledrum. He explained, do you know why this thing can't be drunk? Let me tell you. This is not wine at all. It was extracted from the wine. A jar of wine can only make about half a bowl. Do you know how long I've kept this jar? This is the best anti-inflammatory medicine for treating illnesses, especially for treating external injuries and infections. Let me tell you. Zhang Feng was about to explode. After explaining for a long time, this group of idiots finally understood why they couldn't drink it. However, Cheng Chumo was dumbfounded. Brother Zhang Feng, I have something to say, but I don't know if I should say it. Speak. We're all brothers. What's there to hide? This wine, alcohol. You said that a jar can only produce half a bowl. Then, you said that drinking too much will kill people. I heard that big idiot Wei drank half a jar last night. How is he fine? What did you say? Say that again? Zhang Feng was dumbfounded. He asked anxiously. Cheng Chumo was also dumbfounded. He was shocked by Zhang Feng's reaction and hurriedly said, last night, big idiot Wei saw that you were all drunk, so he came in to carry you back. However, he was greedy and said that he drank half a jar of wine. Here, the one in your hand was found by him today. Zhang Feng went crazy. He looked Wei Shuyu up and down and even pried open his mouth to look at him for a long time. This doesn't make sense. What's going on? Is this guy's physique too good? Or is my alcohol level not high enough? Like a fool, Wei Shuyu was also dumbfounded. He allowed Zhang Feng to fiddle with his body for a long time. Then he asked timidly, Brother Zhang Feng, this thing, I really can't drink it? I really can't drink it. But, you weirdo, why is nothing wrong with you? TSK, awesome. You're really awesome. I'm still wondering if Lao Li and the others were drunk last night and secretly drank it. I'm still worried about whether something will happen to them. So it's you. Awesome. TSK, I didn't expect you to dare to drink it. Aren't you afraid of drinking it to death? Boo-hoo, Wei Shu broke down. Damn it. Who said that Lao Tzu is fine? From last night until this afternoon, Lao Tzu was tied to a pillar to sober up. I was F*** wondering what kind of alcohol this is. Why is it so strong? It's not F** alcohol. If it's not alcohol, why did you put it here? You made me neglect my duty. I don't know if my father will skin me alive when I go back tonight. Zhang Feng was dumbfounded. He looked at Wei Shuyu and clicked his tongue in amazement. Awesome! What an awesome person! Awesome drinker, awesome! Zhang Feng did not expect Wei Shuyu to have such a big reaction. In the end, he thought that maybe this guy was still drunk, or maybe he was really afraid that his father would beat him up. Zhang Feng patted Wei Shuyu's shoulder and said, "Brother, don't worry. You're alive and kicking now, aren't you? This means that you can hold your liquor well. Look at Du Dabing. He's already in his dreams." Zhang Feng pointed at Du Go, who was sprawled on the bench like a dead dog, and pulled everyone to a table. Then, he took a few jars of low-alcohol content wine from the counter and said, Come, brothers, let's drink to our heart's content today. This is good alcohol." The other masters stared at the alcohol in Zhang Feng's arms and swallowed their saliva. Zhang Feng pretended not to see and put the alcohol back into the hidden compartment on the counter. Then, he took a few jars of good alcohol from the wine cabinet and said, "Although the alcohol content is low and not as strong as alcohol, this is definitely good alcohol. You won't die from drinking it." Alcohol content? What's that? Li Qianxian's eyes flashed as he asked. He felt that he had heard this new term from his father. Now that he heard it again, he could not help but want to find out more about it. Hi. Actually, it's the content of the alcohol. In other words, it's the level of the alcohol content. Take a look. As he spoke, Zhang Feng pointed at the characters on the jars on the counter and said, "Look, on this jar, it says 1. That means that the alcohol content of this wine is very low. As for this 65, it's the strongest wine here." Cheng Chumo rubbed his chin and looked at the jars on the table. He said with some dissatisfaction, "Brother Zhang Feng, this isn't right. What are we? We're brothers. Although this is the first time we've met, we're still brothers. Have you never heard of my name before? What titles?" Zhang Feng asked subconsciously. "If the Chang'an winery doesn't come, I won't fall. The 4 demon kings of Chang'an are us." As he spoke, Cheng Chumo and the others couldn't help but puff out their chests. And Wei Shuyu was among them. Zhang Feng understood that this guy wanted to drink strong alcohol. Zhang Feng smiled and patted Wei Shuyu's shoulder. "Kid, I've been worried for the whole day. You're awesome. I thought that someone who drank half a jar of alcohol would probably die. But seeing how energetic you are today, fine. Awesome drinker, I'll treat you to the strongest alcohol." Chapter 230. Wei Shuyu almost wanted to find a place to bury her head in. She would be laughed at by this group of people for the rest of her life, right? However, when she turned to look at Du Go, he straightened his back again. "Didn't you see that Du Go had drunk an entire bowl of wine? At least I drank half a jar of alcohol. That's not much better than Du Go's." "Well said, brother Zhang Feng. Drink the strongest wine. Let's be the strongest brothers. But, let's drink to our heart's content today. Cheers." Everyone cheered. Zhang Feng could not help but become bold. He simply took off his shirt, revealing his shriveled upper body, and competed with everyone with a jar of wine. However, after 3 big mouthfuls of wine, Zhang Feng could not hold on any longer. He hurriedly surrendered. He looked at this group of fierce people who drank wine like it was water with some horror. His mouth was opened so wide that an egg could be stuffed in. At this moment he finally understood why Mr. Jin Yong wrote so much about the heroes of ancient times in his works. This F*** wine was really drinking water. This was more vigorous than the fierce people in the future who drank 10 bottles of beer in one breath. This was 65% strong wine. Zhang Feng's head hurt. He did not care about wine at all. What was wine? Wine was a bastard. He could just make more wine after drinking it. However, if this person drank too much, he would not be able to account for it. He hurriedly stopped everyone. "Drink slowly. No one is fighting with you. There's a lot here. If it's not enough, I still have 10 jars in my backyard. It's my treat today. Drink slowly. When everyone heard that, they put down the wine jars in a daze. In fact, they could not hold on any longer. However, they had already bragged, and it was the first time they met. They had already said that they would drink this jar. They had to drink it even if they had to risk their lives. Damn it, why was this stronger than the wine Lao Tzu brought back? What the hell was this? Everyone was shocked. Feeling dizzy, they looked at each other stupidly. Even Li Chengqian, who was considered refined when drinking, was a little dizzy at this moment. Come, don't just drink, let's eat. Come and have a taste of our food. The last time Lao Li brought back the cocoons, did you eat them well? All right. Guess what happened to me after I ate half a kilo of it last time? Cheng Chumo drank too much. While chewing on a piece of pig intestine, he hooked his arm around Zhang Feng's neck and showed it off. Zhang Feng was also interested and asked, "What happened in the end?" "Brother Zhang Feng, let me tell you." Zhang Sun was also amused. He patted Zhang Feng's shoulder, and Zhang Feng stumbled and fell onto the table. Zhang Feng almost couldn't catch his breath. Li Chengqian hastily supported him and patted him on the back. Only then did he manage to catch his breath. "I say, your hands, why do you have so much strength?" Zhang Feng was speechless. Zhang Sun smiled apologetically and hurriedly said, "Brother Zhang Feng. This, brother, I didn't know your body was so weak. Didn't you eat that delicious food?" "I ate it." "Then why is your body so weak? Why don't I ask someone to send you a few 100-year-old ginseng some other day?" "Okay." Lao Li was Lao Li after all. He was too stingy. Zhang Feng took Li Chengqian's hand and said, "Good brother. You're much more generous than your father. I didn't know you had 100-year-old ginseng at home. Brother, let's not talk too much. Let's toast to this." Li Chengqian's face twitched. He wanted to slap himself. If he had known that his father didn't mention this, he wouldn't have pretended to be pretentious and gave this to Zhang Feng. This was a gift prepared for the retired emperor. He had spent a lot of money to get this. He thought that his father would allow it, which meant that he had tacitly agreed to give it to him. But now, he said it out of carelessness. He couldn't take it back now. Li Chengqian closed his eyes and gulped down a bowl of wine. At this time, Zhang Feng looked at Zhang Sun and asked, "Continue. Didn't you say that Chentino ate half a kilo of locust eggs? Then what? Hey! This grandson almost sent away a newly arrived concubine. Did you know? He almost went to court. If it wasn't for the godly doctor who made his father pay a fine of 3,000 strings of coins to marry that Hu Ji as his concubine, he would probably still be in jail." Cheng Chumo's face turned red, but he still held his head high and said, "Bug, are you jealous? Jealous of my ability in that area? Get lost. Who the hell is like you? Impatient as a monkey, you don't know how to be gentle at all. Lao Tzu is ashamed to be called one of the 4 big bullies with you. Hee hee. I think you're jealous." After the few of them talked about this and that, they began to talk to the spy with red faces and thick necks. Li Chengqian just shook his head and chatted with Zhang Feng. "Brother Zhang Feng, I've seen your calligraphy. Did you also write the words on this wall?" Li Chengqian looked at the words on the wall. He asked, "This is what I wrote when I was drinking with old Sun when I was bored. Randomly? I don't think so." Li Chengqian shook his head and murmured, "Drinking wine, don't stop drinking. I'll sing a song with you, please listen to me. Bells, drums, and jade are not expensive. I hope you'll be drunk forever. Since ancient times, sages have been lonely, only those who drink leave their names. 5 flowers, horses, and 1,000 gold cloaks. I'll exchange them for good wine, and with you, I'll share the worries of eternity." What kind of artistic conception is this? Brother Zhang Feng, can we talk about this poem? Chapter 231. Zhang Feng waved his hand. "What's there to talk about this poem? It's just something I casually recited after drinking. Now you want me to talk about this poem? Goodbye." However, Li Chengqian was not having it. He continued to ask, "How can someone who can make such a poem be careless? Do you know that those poems of yours have been framed by my father as an heirloom to be passed down?" Li Chengqian shook his head and stared at Zhang Feng curiously. "Brother Zhang Feng, tell me the truth. How many more poems do you know?" Do you know that during the Dragon Boat Festival, there will be a poetry gathering in Chang'an City? If you're willing to go, the top courtesan of Chang'an City, Jingshu, who no one has ever had the chance to get close to, will. Poetry gathering? Jingshu? Zhang Feng was a little dizzy. It's okay to play around, but you want me to go to a poetry gathering? He knew how crazy the poetry gathering in the Tang dynasty was. Basically, many young ladies from noble families would attend that poetry gathering. Moreover, all the talents in Chang'an City and even the Tang dynasty would come to Chang'an to attend that poetry gathering. It was not only a chance to become famous, but also a chance to win the heart of a beauty. Even if by chance, he might be chosen by a big family and become a member. However, the premise was that he knew how to compose poems. He was not afraid of composing poems, but to compete in poems, and even compose poems? Forget it. Goodbye. At that time, the first one to be finished would be him. With his limited knowledge, going to that place was purely torture. Zhang Feng's face turned serious and said, I appreciate Brother Li's kindness, but what is a poem? It's a kind of artistic conception. It's not created for a competition. Otherwise, what's the use of it? It's a knife to kill, the source of hatred. If Brother Li is really doing it for my good, don't mention it again. I don't want to increase the sin of killing because of poems. Li Qingqian was dumbfounded. How did this poetry gathering turn into a sin of killing? But when he thought about it, it was quite interesting. Zhang Feng's poems were too shocking. If he were to appear, then wouldn't those poor students who wanted to fight for a better tomorrow return in disappointment? In that case, wouldn't their future be ruined? Wouldn't they be unable to recover from the setback? Even jumping into a river to commit suicide was considered a light punishment. He knew that there was once a scholar at a poetry meet. Because of the woman he loved, he planned to win the woman's favor at the mid-autumn poetry meet. However, fate dictated that in the end, the woman fell in love with another scholar, and in the end. In a fit of rage, the man killed the woman's family, as well as that scholar's family. When Imperial Father was still the king of Qin, he was furious, but in the end, the matter was left unsettled. At this moment, Li Qingqian was filled with emotions when he heard Zhang Feng mention it. Forget it. Brother Zhang Feng's concept is something we can't compare to. What concept? At this moment, a few drunkards who were drunk came up. With a strong smell of alcohol, they hooked Li Qingqian and Zhang Feng and started to drink. I say, are you two here to watch a good show? Didn't we say that good brothers should share weal and woe together? We've already drunk a big jar, no. You guys have to make up for it. Me, Buggy, and Idiot Wei have already finished. You two shouldn't slack off. Otherwise, Lao Tzu's fist won't be merciful. Zhang Feng's eyelids twitched. But he couldn't afford to offend these two. If this fist came down, he would most likely die. Come, let's do it. Whoever doesn't do it is a grandson. Zhang Feng also became unyielding. He grabbed 3 jars with the number 65 foot written on them and threw them to the 3. Then he picked up 2 jars with the number 1 written on them, slapped the seal and raised his head to drink. Seeing this, how could the 3 of them endure it? They raised their heads and drank. Even Li Qingqian couldn't help but clench his teeth and raise his head to gulp down the wine. Burp. A jar of wine went down. Even though he only had a 10% alcohol tolerance, Zhang Feng still felt like the world was spinning. He looked at Chengchumo and the others, who were basically lying on the ground with their limbs spread out, hugging the wine jars and refusing to let go. They were even laughing foolishly. Li Qingqian wasn't any better. As he drank, he raised his head and fell to the ground with a thud, sleeping soundly. Zhang Feng walked around and sat on a stool in a daze. After a long time, he finally recovered from the dizziness. But when he saw the people sprawled all over the ground, he couldn't help but have a headache. Last night he got Lao Tzu drunk. Now, in broad daylight, he got his son drunk. Lao Li and the others wouldn't beat him up with a big club, right? Thinking about it, Zhang Feng hurriedly got up and bolted the door. Only then did he heave a deep sigh of relief. But what should he do with the people on the ground? What if they tore down the shop again then? Brother, you're not thick enough. At this moment, Chang'an sat up dizzily and grabbed Zhang Feng's collar. Dizzily, he pointed at the people on the ground and spat in disdain. He, they're all trash. Lao Tzu's alcohol tolerance is still the best. Come, why are you still, not drunk? Zhang Feng was dumbfounded. What the hell was this? Could it be that Lao Tzu had no choice but to drink? At this moment, after falling down a few times, Chang'an took 2 jars of wine from the wine cabinet. After a long time, he crawled in front of Zhang Feng and grabbed Zhang Feng's collar. Drink. If you don't drink, then you're looking down on me, Iron Bull. Zhang Feng's face turned green. This was Lao Tzu's little pub, okay? The wine was Lao Tzu's, okay? However, Chang'an was drunk. How could he care so much? He saw that Zhang Feng did not move. How could he let this go? He was about to beat him up. Zhang Feng gritted his teeth and looked at the word, one, written on the jar of wine. He made up his mind and roared, drink. Damn it, if you don't drink, then you're looking down on me, Zhang Feng. You're a coward. Coward. When Chang'an heard that, he exploded. He broke the seal with his fist and raised his head to drink. After a while, only the sound of 2 jars shattering could be heard. Zhang Feng and Chang'an were also drunk. Chapter 232. It was night. It was a dark night. The kind where you couldn't even see your own fingers. Under the passionate kisses of the mosquitoes, Zhang Feng finally woke up. Looking at the drunkards on the floor, he couldn't help but have a headache. Damn it. What should I do? Zhang Feng was speechless as he roared. But at this moment, in the dark corner, a leisurely voice came. You're awake. Who's it? Zhang Feng was furious. Last night, the next door was checked. Who knows if there were any dead people? Now that a voice suddenly came out, how could he not be scared? Cough cough, brother Zhang Feng, don't be afraid. It's me, I'm due. Dabing. Dabing? What dabing? Zhang Feng rubbed his forehead for a long time before he reacted. He finally remembered that Dabing Du was drunk with a bowl of alcohol. Rubbing his aching head, Zhang Feng slowly lit an oil lamp. At this time, he finally saw Dabing Du clearly. He saw a milky white robe covered with vomit. Some of it was his, some of it was unknown who it was. Cheng Tinyu, Idiot Wei, and Lao Li's son were all huddled together. That scene, it was simply unbearable to look at. When did you wake up? Why didn't you light the oil lamp? Zhang Feng looked at Du Go speechlessly. I only woke up when you were talking. This alcohol of yours, what is it made of? Why is it so strong? My head feels like it's going to split open. Du Go asked while holding the door and sitting crookedly on the stool. I already said, this is alcohol. It's not alcohol. Zhang Feng spent a long time explaining the alcohol matter clearly. Then, the two looked at the drunkards on the floor. They could only speechlessly carry them into the bedroom in the backyard and throw them on Zhang Feng's small bed. Then, they sat in the front hall of the small pub again. Du Go quietly looked at the words on the wall and was shocked. I've long heard of Brother Zhang Feng's poems, and I've also seen Brother's calligraphy, but this piece of calligraphy. Especially that, don't make the golden goblet empty to the moon. Brother, what kind of state of mind did you have to come up with such a line? Du Go was an idiot. From the famous works of Confucianism to some literary stories circulating in the marketplace, they were all recorded. Only Zhang Feng made him feel the most mysterious. The shopkeeper of a small tavern, moreover in the prime of his life, was not like the other young talents who were actively striving for fame, nor did he serve the court. Instead, he was struggling at death's door in this small tavern. What kind of free and easy person would do something like this? Brother Zhang Feng, to tell you the truth, I wanted to pay you a visit a long time ago, but my father didn't allow it. Plus, I haven't finished my homework yet. So, it wasn't until today that I mustered up my courage and obtained my father's permission to pay you a visit. As he spoke, Du Go took out a visiting card and presented it with both hands. When I came, I didn't have any good gifts, so I copied some famous poems. Plus, I know that Brother Zhang Feng doesn't like gold and silver things, so I prepared a rubbing of an ancient book. Please, Zhang Feng's head hurt. This time, it was really a headache. He finally understood why Idiot Wei and the others couldn't wait to get this guy drunk the moment they came in. This was a copy of Tang Sanzang. He didn't say a single word, but this guy was nagging for half a day. Did he still want people to live? Zhang Feng couldn't help but be endlessly grateful to Old Du. It was fortunate that Old Du had locked this unfilial son in the room. If he had come earlier, he would have been annoyed to death. For this kind of lunatic who was obsessed to the point of madness in a certain field, Zhang Feng admired, but also feared. Others were still fine. As long as he was tricked, he would feel better. But this Du Go was a fucking literary maniac. How could he trick him? Cough cough. Du Go. I appreciate your kind intentions, but I still can't accept this rubbing. Zhang Feng looked at Du Go, who had a pained expression. He didn't know what this guy was feeling pained about. This thing wasn't precious. If you wanted it, you could just go and make another rubbing, right? Was there a need to give it away and feel pained? How could Lao Tzu accept this? He originally wanted to accept it and take a look at it when he had nothing to do, but forget it. Lao Tzu was afraid of being remembered. Du Go's face stiffened. Brother Zhang Feng, what are you saying? Although the rubbing is good, it needs to be given to a close friend. Today, to be able to meet Brother Zhang Feng is already my good fortune. This is not my gift, and I also don't dare to give a saint's rubbing to someone. This is just a token of my appreciation between us students. Please don't treat me as a shameless person who steals the saint's blood and sweat. Zhang Feng's eyes were red. This guy, he's cursing me in a roundabout way. Did Lao Tzu provoke you? However, after observing for a long time, he saw that Du Go didn't seem to be cursing him. He could only touch his nose, but he didn't even look at the thing in front of him. Don't ask why. Asking was disdain. Come, even a fool can see the reluctance on your face. Just say it. What do you want? I'll give it to you, okay? Zhang Feng surrendered. Du Go heard this. His face lit up, and he hurriedly put the rubbing into his arms, then bowed like a Confucian scholar. Brother Zhang Feng, please give me a piece of calligraphy. Chapter 233. Zhang Feng was speechless. He knew this guy was up to no good. You just want a piece of calligraphy? Why don't you just King say it? Why do you have to put on such an act? Aren't you tired? Even Lao Tzu's side characters are better than you. All right. I can't do the calligraphy tonight. I'm not interested. My head hurts. Let's talk about it tomorrow. It looks like you guys won't be able to go back tonight. Since that's the case, I'll make do with it tonight. Zhang Feng pointed at the bar, then put a few tables together and lay down on them. Du Go was stunned. Seeing that Zhang Feng was about to fall asleep, he hurriedly asked, Brother Zhang Feng, I have something to ask. I hope Brother Zhang Feng can answer my doubts. Speak. Zhang Feng's head was about to explode. He finally understood what King Sour Scholar was. Aren't you tired of all these complicated formalities? If you just said you want a piece of calligraphy when you walked in, you have a question to ask. Perhaps Lao Tzu would give you 100 pieces of calligraphy on a whim. That would be a piece of cake. Do you have to do this? All right, speak. I'm drunk and my head hurts. Zhang Feng rubbed his head. Under Du Go's murderous gaze, Zhang Feng could no longer lie down. He sat up and rubbed his temples. At this moment, Du Go said, It's still the same question. I wonder what kind of state of mind Brother Zhang Feng was in to compose that poem? Zhang Feng rolled his eyes. If Lao Tzu knew what kind of state of mind Li Bai was in to compose that poem, would Lao Tzu be here? However, after thinking about it, this was undoubtedly an opportunity. Zhang Feng began to bluff. Actually, you've already seen this poem. Oh! Du Go heard this and his expression froze. He hurriedly clasped his fists. Please enlighten me, Brother Zhang Feng. Today, in this small bar, forget it, you're drunk and didn't see it. How about this? Tomorrow, I'll let you experience this concept for yourself. What do you think? All right. Thank you, Brother Zhang Feng. But no, I still have a question. I wonder where the heroism in Brother Zhang Feng's poem, as well as the feeling of having experienced the vicissitudes of life, came from? Once, when I heard my father reciting this poem in his study, I was deeply attracted by the concept of this poem. Therefore, I specially consulted and paid a visit to the famous Confucian and literary masters in Chang'an city. However, everyone was extremely shocked by this poem. Everyone asked me which great Confucian wrote this poem. However, when this humble one said that it was composed by a tavern owner who was about the same age as this humble one, they were all stunned. They did not seem to believe it. In fact, some people even said that this was composed by a Confucian official who had experienced and witnessed the court for his entire life. When he was about to resign from his position, he composed this song in a free and easy manner. Brother Zhang Feng, can you tell me what is going on? Or should I say that this poem was written by Brother Zhang's teacher? Zhang Feng went crazy. He had an urge to cry. Who the F***ck could stand this? Lao Tzu did not even say a word. You forced me to come up with such a huge list of things? You want me to recite them for you? Seeing that Du Go continued, Zhang Feng hurriedly stopped him. Brother Du, you're a magnanimous person. Can you let me have a good rest and talk about it tomorrow? My head hurts. Besides, in literature, the one who has the highest attainment wins, not the age. What matters in literature is the concept and the realization in daily life. Who says that the common people can't speculate about the imperial court? Just look at the old men on the street who are working hard to make a living. When they see the prosperity of the street or the poverty of their home, they sit alone in an unfamiliar tavern and drink by themselves while crying and reflecting on their life. May I ask, what's the difference between the imperial court and home? One is the home of the Tang dynasty, and the other is the shelter from all the storms and disasters. May I ask, what's the difference between the two? This is the source of my concept. As for Brother Du, you still need to hone yourself. I suggest that you step out of the world that you imagine and go to the secular world to observe the lives of the common people. This is what a Confucian scholar should do. You shouldn't hide in your books and be a hypocrite who doesn't care about the affairs of the world. All right, I'm going to sleep. You have a good time. After saying that, Zhang Feng turned around and lay on the table, no longer paying attention to this lunatic. As for Du Go, he no longer bothered Zhang Feng. He was still immersed in Zhang Feng's words. Zhang Feng's words seemed to have opened a brand new door for him, causing him to fall into a strange state that he could not extricate himself from. Zhang Feng finally let out a deep sigh of relief. This is too F***king scary. What the F***? Old Du. How can you stand such a son? This is too scary. After mourning for old Du in his heart, Zhang Feng guiltily looked at Du Go, who seemed to have gone crazy from his words, and closed his eyes. Chapter 234. The next morning, Zhang Feng woke up with a sore back. At this moment, his head hurt even more. Mother F***ker, no matter what I say today, I won't F***king drink anymore. If I continue to drink, I will die. But when he rubbed his head and stood up, he saw that Du Dabing had disappeared. Could it be that he knew it was difficult and slipped away? Damn it, Zhang Feng was a little flustered. If he went out in the middle of the night and was caught by the patrolling soldiers, he would be beaten with a plank. Could it be that he wiped out the bedroom in the backyard? Zhang Feng rubbed his head, went to the kitchen to wash his face with cold water and drank a big ladle of water. Only then did he feel a little better. He lit the fire on the stove and boiled some water. Then he took out the leftover braised meat that was frozen in the water and steamed it on the pot. Then he slowly went to wake up a few lazy bums. Chintiniu, get up. Stupid way. Get up and eat. You bums, get up. But after calling for a long time, he did not hear any response. Zhang Feng was confused. Could it be that they drank too much last night and had not woken up until now? But it should not be to that extent, right? They had been calling for so long. Could it be that this group of young masters were all so sleepy? It was almost noon. Could it be that they really drank until they died? Zhang Feng was shocked. He just remembered that when he came out, Du Dabing was drinking. Then who drank before? He did not know. Could it be this group of second-generation young masters? They died? Zhang Feng was shocked and hurriedly pushed open the door. Instantly there was a stench. Zhang Feng's snot and tears came out. He hurriedly looked around the room. Except for the messy sheets, there was nothing in the room. Not to mention people. Damn it. Where is he? Zhang Feng was a little flustered. He was most worried about Old Wei's son. This guy drank so much alcohol the night before and drank so much last night. He would be crippled. Could it be that this group of guys, behind his back, if he was gone and Lao Li came to ask for him, what should he do? At the thought of this, Zhang Feng's head hurt even more. Running out of the tavern, he saw the old scholar squatting on the street corner and dozing off. He hurriedly asked, "Old scholar, did you see those people who came out of my tavern this morning?" The old scholar looked at Zhang Feng as if he were a monster and asked, "Do they owe you money for the wine? Then did they take your things?" "Not really. Tell me, did you see it?" The old scholar nodded his head speechlessly. "I saw it. A few of them went out early this morning. They were cursing and swearing along the way. One of them was even carried on someone's back." "Carried away? And he's still cursing and swearing? *CK. Did he really drink too much?" Zhang Feng slapped his face and squatted down beside the old elementary scholar. *C. I'm in trouble. Damn. This group of idiots, if you can't drink, why are you pretending to be a chicken? Fengzi, those people seem to be fine. Old scholar, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't mess with them. They are people you can't mess with. Old scholar, what do you mean? What's wrong with them? After the old scholar finished speaking, he continued to doze off and ignored Zhang Feng. Zhang Feng became even more anxious. Well, you old scholar. To think that I've always respected you so much. So, you didn't even tell me when you encountered something. You just want to laugh at me, right? The old scholar was speechless. He shook his head. He waved his hand. Zhang Feng hurriedly put his ear to the old scholar's side. The old scholar said, "Do you know who they are? They are the famous bullies in Chang'an. It's not good for you to get too close to them. They are rich, but what about you? You will die." At this moment, Zhang Feng finally understood what the old scholar was worried about. He couldn't help but let out a deep sigh of relief. He patted the old scholar's shoulder and simply sat down next to the old scholar as well. "Old scholar, you don't have to worry about this. They are my brother's sons, so I'm more at ease about this matter. If you have nothing to do, you can come to the entrance of my little pub. If you have nothing to do, we can chat." The old scholar rolled his eyes. He no longer paid attention to Zhang Feng. "Kid, if you really want what's good for me, let me give you a piece of advice. One is marked by the company one keeps. Don't get too close to this group of people." "Old thing, are you *king here to instigate our relationship? Between us brothers, we can't let down the heavens and earth, and we can't let down our conscience. What is this called? This is called eating meat, and I can't let my brother drink soup. What is this called? This is called sharing blessings and suffering together. What do you know?" At this moment, Cheng Chumo turned the corner while cursing. He opened his eyes and looked at the old scholar. The old scholar didn't even look at him. He only glanced at Li Qingqian. In the end, he sighed and closed his eyes again, pretending to sleep. At this moment, Du Go grabbed Cheng Chumo's ear and scolded, "Tai Niu, is this what your father taught you? If you continue to disrespect the old man, do you believe that I will tell Li Qian's father immediately?" Hearing this, Chen Chumo shrunk his neck and hurriedly retreated to the back. Zhang Feng was also speechless. However, after being scolded by Du Go, Cheng Chumo couldn't flare up. He said sullenly, "Where did you guys go so early in the morning?" "Brother Zhang, didn't you guys disturb us last night? So we decided to go outside the city to hunt for some game. Look, what's this?" When Cheng Chumo heard this, he immediately jumped up. Not far behind him, he pointed at the things on the bus that a few workers were dragging. He was completely dumbfounded. "What the *CK? You guys went to hunt a tiger early in the morning?" Chapter 235. Zhang Feng was about to go crazy. This was a *King death sentence. Tigers. Tigers were strictly regulated in the Tang dynasty. Apart from the royal gardens, all tigers were forbidden from hunting. Zhang Feng had always wanted to drink tiger bone wine and eat tiger meat. He even wanted to get a tiger skin and hang it in the store to show off. But now that he saw this thing, he lost all interest. What the F***, Chin Tiniu, your F*** king stubborn. Let's go, F** king, drag him to the yamen with me. Let's get your father to plead for mercy. Maybe we can make it in time. Zhang Feng was anxious. But Li Chengqian and the others crossed their arms and looked at Zhang Feng, trying hard not to laugh. After a long while, the old scholar could not stand it anymore. He coughed and said, Fengzi, don't be so busy. Look at these young masters. Hearing that, Zhang Feng suddenly raised his head and looked at these rich second generations with a playful expression. Zhang Feng was so angry that he wanted to take off his shoes and beat them up. He was so worried just now. If something happened to them in his store, what would Lao Li and the others do? These were really the 4 rich second generations, the 4 stubborn ones. He finally understood why the old scholar didn't want him to get too close to these people. He would really die if he got too close to them. Brother Zhang Feng. Du Go smiled elegantly. He pointed at the tiger and said, This is your reward. Lord Zhang's son and Li Gan's father once talked about you. The Minister of Justice thought highly of you and said he wanted to give you a reward. But after thinking about it, he did not know what to give you. Finally, yesterday, Old Chen slapped his head. A hero deserves a sword, so this tiger is a reward from Lord Zhangsan. What was going on? Who gave gifts like this? Was the Tang dynasty so domineering? Giving a tiger directly? Zhang Feng had some doubts at first, but after hearing Du Go's explanation, Zhang Feng faintly thought about everything from the beginning to the end, and finally understood. It was impossible to find a tiger in the Qinling Mountains early in the morning. Only the tiger in the royal cemetery was possible. And if one wanted to hunt in the imperial mausoleum, who would dare to do so unless the emperor allowed it? Moreover, they even dared to pull it out on the streets so arrogantly, and no one from the government came to interrogate them? Zhang Feng couldn't think of a second possibility other than having a document in advance. Hunting in the Qinling Mountains? I'll give you 1 month. If you can find a tiger in the Qinling Mountains, forget about catching it, even if you can see it, it'll be my loss. This thing was not even in the Qinling Mountains, okay? As early as the era of Qin Shi Huang, this thing had been wiped out in the Qinling Mountains. If this thing really existed at this time, Zhang Feng would really think that the person who spoke was an idiot. At this time, more and more people gathered on the streets. Zhuzi and Guzi even secretly ran over to pluck the fur on the tiger's back. In the end, people from the government came to urge everyone to quickly deal with this thing. Zhang Feng could only brace himself and bring this thing to the small tavern under the envious eyes of the neighbors. People were afraid of being famous, and pigs were afraid of being fat. Now that he had brought the tiger to the small tavern, he had to think of a way to hide this matter. Otherwise, he would be targeted by the Turks sooner or later. After all, the Turk's spy next to him had just been eradicated. Don't worry. Li Chengqian patted Zhang Feng's worried face and said, My father has already taken care of this matter. Moreover, it was given as a reward by the empress to comfort the frightened people. It was the prey that the emperor hunted. Hearing this, Zhang Feng heaved a deep sigh of relief. Old Li, you're so thoughtful. Let's go. Brother, let's eat tiger meat today. Zhang Feng didn't say anything else. He pulled Li Chengqian towards the tavern with his head lowered. However, as if he had thought of something, Zhang Feng waved his hand and said, Old Shuite, come to the tavern next time. I'll keep the tiger's penis for you. Yo, old Shiosai. Tiger's penis. Why don't you hurry up and thank Zhang Feng? Amidst the laughter of the neighbors, the old Shiosai's face turned red. Once they entered the small tavern, a few people who looked like servants dragged the tiger to the backyard and personally dissected it. Zhang Feng was also happy to be free. The few of them sat at the table and Zhang Feng asked gloomily, This is the surprise you gave me? Wei Shuyu shrugged and said, This morning, Du Dabing yelled at us and said that we gave you a rubbing last night but you didn't want it. So we were wondering if we should give you something new. In the end, Chen Tinius slapped his head and remembered that the mountain kings all had this in their homes. So, before the sun rose, we went out to tinker with this thing. Hearing this, Zhang Feng exploded. He stared at Li Chengqian and said, "So, you guys went to the imperial forest to poach." Li Chengqian shrugged speechlessly. "Don't worry about this, my father will take care of it and you can eat to your heart's content. Do you think it's so easy to enter the imperial hunting ground? If we can enter, it means that the emperor already knew about it. So, you see, no one has come to ask, which means that the emperor already knows about it." Chapter 236. The tiger skin, the bloody tiger skin, was stretched taut on the wall of the backyard. Wei Shuyu demonstrated her swordsmanship, slicing a piece of tiger meat into thin, sparkling and translucent slices with each slash of her sword. Zhang Feng closed the pub and set up a charcoal fire under the crooked tree in the backyard, preparing to barbecue. Du Dabing and Li Gan stared unblinkingly at Zhang Feng's seasoning jar. Zhang Feng even tricked Cheng Chumo into swallowing a piece of tiger meat with salt and pepper. Xiao Bing was still lying beside the well, hugging the bucket and refusing to let go. After a while, the sizzling tiger meat on a stone slab the size of a millstone was all in their stomachs. They did not drink alcohol today. No matter how Zhang Feng urged them, they did not dare to drink. Wine was a good thing, but it was also deadly. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, they simply took off their clothes and lay down in a cool place to digest the food. At this moment, Zhang Feng also felt incomparably relaxed. This was the life he needed. Although it was a little scary, at the very least, these guys were very energetic. However, these guys had to be nurtured. There were a few times when Lao Li and the others found all kinds of reasons to send them here. Now, he finally knew how much of a headache Lao Li and the others had caused. Perhaps it was the fault of the father for not teaching the child well. However, Zhang Feng also knew that Lao Li and the others only knew how to hit people and throw money at people. Did they know how to educate their children? If they knew how to educate their children, then, how did they become the notorious bullies of Chang? Even the old elementary scholars were afraid of them. It was time to rectify the family's culture for Lao Li and the others. Du Dabing was a talent, but he was too King scary. He was a top student. It was best to encourage him to go to the Imperial College and then to the Ministry of Justice. Then he could ask Du Dabing to get in touch with Lord Zhangsun. This was also something that could be done in a matter of minutes. As for Li Gan, Zhang Feng still did not know what he was capable of. However, it seemed that the people here were very afraid of this elegant, smiling guy. As for the remaining three guys, the ideal place was to go to the military camp. This was a ferocious general born for the army. With a little bit of training, he would definitely be in existence comparable to Qing Yaojin. At the very least, when dealing with the Turkic Khaganate in the future, he might be able to make use of them. At the thought of this, Zhang Feng asked, "Brothers, let me ask you, what are your dreams? In other words, is there anything you want to do the most?" When Cheng Chumo heard this, he was so excited that he almost jumped up. "Brothers, I'll say it first. Don't steal it." Zhang Feng gestured for him to continue. Cheng Chumo then said, "I'm the second of the three brothers in my family. You all know that the head of the family and the affairs of the family are basically passed down to the eldest, which is my eldest brother. Therefore, Lao Tzu does not have any dreams in his life. Lao Tzu does not know how to do business, and he doesn't know many people. He just wants to make a living in Chang'an city. It would be best if he could have a bunch of wives and concubines." Zhang Feng kept staring at Cheng Chumo's eyes. The eyes were the window to a person's soul. No matter how strong a person was, when faced with such a problem, even if he said the same thing, one would still be able to see what one needed the most from his eyes. At this moment, Zhang Feng saw indignation. Cheng Chumo was indignant. As the son of a duke, he was under too much pressure. He wanted to surpass his father, but his father told him that his achievements overshadowed his master's. Therefore, from then on, he began to give up on himself. He liked to play with swords and sticks, but until now, he had only managed to get to the position of a lieutenant. Moreover, he was a dispensable idle person in Chang'an city. He was indignant, but what else could he do? This was the family of an emperor. "Do you want to join the martial arts?" Zhang Feng's sudden voice stunned Cheng Chumo, Wei Shuyu, and Zhang Sun Chong. However, everyone's eyes glanced at Li Chengqian, intentionally or otherwise, and finally fell silent. How could he not? But now, he also wanted to go. However, Lao Tzu did not want him to go. What else could he do? Zhang Feng understood Cheng Chumo's heart. Because, just a moment ago, in that instant, he saw a flash of passion in Cheng Chumo, Zhang Sunchong, and Wei Shuyu's eyes. However, this flash of passion quickly disappeared without a trace. Zhang Feng seemed to understand something. He could not help but sigh in his heart. What kind of era was this? Everything is based on seniority. However, Zhang Feng could not help but have a strange look in his eyes. Previously, your father wanted you to come to me, as if he wanted me to teach you something. However, I refused because I felt that you were a burden. I don't know if you came to me in private or if your father asked you to come. Since I, Zhang Feng, am your father's friend, and your father did not say anything when you did not return last night, it means that your father recognizes me. So, do you want to become stronger? Do you want to soar? Do you want to spread your wings and soar in your favorite place? Do you want to break free from your shackles, get rid of your stubborn reputation, and be yourself for once? Chapter 237. Yes. Almost at the moment when Zhang Feng finished his words, everyone jumped up excitedly. Didn't they want to surpass their father? Surpass their glory? Alas, their brilliance was too strong. They wanted to soar, but their wings were tied down by their fathers. And they used a way to numb themselves to not think about this matter. They wanted to use this silent protest to change their father's mind. However, they had tried and it was useless, even though Cheng Chumo almost turned Chang'an city upside down and even dragged all the ministers' sons into the water. They became stubborn members. However, their fathers still berated them for being unfilial sons. They were prodigals. Who could understand what they wanted to do the most? No one. It could even be said that their father knew, but he did not allow it. But there were only 4 words. High merit intimidated the emperor. If their family wanted to pass on safely and live well under the emperor's nose, then high merit intimidated the emperor was a taboo. Therefore, Qing Yaojin would play dumb. Therefore, Wei Zheng and the group would rather have nothing than be tainted by other things. It was not that they did not have the means to make money, but they wanted to think for their descendants and their family. The emperor's power was unpredictable. This was the imperial court. This was their fate. Brother Zhang Feng, do you have any ideas? Zhang Sun also put away his cynicism and looked at Zhang Feng sincerely. Even Du Go looked at Zhang Feng with a burning gaze. As for Li Chengqian, he lowered his head silently. Zhang Feng looked around at everyone. I know what all of you are thinking. I know what all of you want to do, but I also know what your father is worried about. Your father is doing something big right now. And it is a very big thing. What is it? Cheng Chumo asked with reddened eyes. Zhang Feng took a deep breath and said in a low voice, Do you think it will be small when it is done for the emperor? Everyone was stunned. Could it be that this guy knew his father's identity? But why didn't anyone tell them? The crowd could not help but look suspiciously at Du Go. Seeing this, Du Go hastily shook his head. But nobody seemed to believe him. Du Go was anxious and asked, Zhang Xiong, you said that our father is working for His Majesty? How come we didn't know about it? And such a big thing. How did you know about it? Can you tell us? Hearing this, everyone's eyes gathered on Zhang Feng. Zhang Feng smacked his lips and said, Actually, this whole thing started with the eggs. You guys should still remember that, right? Since then, they have been working for His Majesty, and I hope that you will all keep your mouths shut. If you dare to speak nonsense about this matter, even Heavenly King Lao Tzu won't be able to save you. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. They thought that Zhang Feng knew their father's true identity, but now it seemed that he still didn't know. Although their father did not tell them much about what happened after that, they more or less knew. After all, they were living under the same roof, so how could they not know? Zhang Feng saw this and said again, I know that Lao Li and the rest will definitely not let you guys get involved in this, so guess what you are worried about, right? You are wrong. Your father is doing this to protect your lives. The fewer people involved in this matter, the better. So I can understand why you guys are acting this way. But today, I want to talk about something else. This matter will definitely not affect them, and it will also allow you to be in the right position and do the right thing. What is it? Just say it. That's right, brother, you are so wishy-washy. Are you a man? Just say it. Do you want us to take over the mountain and become kings? Or do you want us to do something else? Just say it. Cheng Chumo was so anxious that he was going crazy. Zhang Feng laughed mischievously, infuriating everyone. Zhang Feng waved his hand and said, "Think about it, what should a man, a hot-blooded man, do? Protect the country. To die on the battlefield." Cheng Chumo and Wei Shuyu said in unison. But the next moment, everyone was stunned. Did he mean to let them enter the camp? Zhang Feng got up, put his hands behind his back, and raised his head to the sky, letting the wind blow his long hair, which danced wildly in the wind. He shouted loudly, drunk, looking at the sword under the lamp, dreaming of blowing the horn and joining the camp. 800 miles of the army under the scorching heat, 50 bowstrings turning over the Great Wall, soldiers gathering on the battlefield in autumn. The horse is fast, the bow is like a thunderbolt, the string is frightening. But the king of the world, winning the reputation of life and death, poor things happened in vain. The bright moon of the Qin and Han dynasties, the long march of thousands of miles did not return, but the general of Longcheng flew, not allowing the horse to pass the Yin mountain. The two poems came out. Everyone was shocked. What was this? Wasn't this the kind of heroism that men pursued? Everyone read some books, and among them, Li Chengqian and Du Go were even more outstanding. At this time, every line of Zhang Feng's poem was like a stretch of saber light and sword shadow, making them intoxicated. No one knew how long had passed. Cheng Chumo and the others trembled all over, and even the corners of their eyes were full of tears. Not allowing the horse to pass the Yin mountain. Drunk, looking at the sword under the lamp. This is what a man should be like. This is where I should go. Chapter 238. Even. Among them, Du Go's perception was deeper. Because last night, he learned another meaning from Zhang Feng's mouth. It was a kind of artistic conception that could not be felt in books. He had been pondering about it before, and even followed them to hunt the tiger today. However, he was looking for the feeling that Zhang Feng mentioned. But, unfortunately, until now, he still could not understand the artistic conception that Zhang Feng mentioned. However, at this moment, in Zhang Feng's two poems, his feelings were the deepest. In these two poems, the heroic, free, and easy soldier deeply attracted him. He knew that Zhang Feng had definitely not been to these places. However, he still saw the hazy battlefield from Zhang Feng's poem. The smell of blood, the roar of swords clashing, the sound of war horses neighing, the blood and fire, laughing wildly to the sky, drinking and talking merrily. Du Go yearned for all of this. Is this the soul of the poem? Brother Zhang? In the end, Du Go was the first to wake up. And when he spoke, Li Qingqian also woke up from the shock and looked at Zhang Feng. Zhang Feng shook his head. Everyone has a path that suits them. For example, some people are naturally suited for one thing, obsessed for one thing, and crazy for one thing. Just like how you are obsessed with your words, he is not suitable for the battlefield. But what he wrote was a battlefield. He can use the pen in his hand to let the enemy see the majesty of the Tang dynasty. But this is not limited to the imperial court. It is beyond the imperial court. Do you understand? Du Go was stunned. He fell into a complete silence. Zhang Feng knew that he needed time to digest. He would need at least a day to walk out of his thoughts. At that time, he would no longer be himself. Everything he had learned before would be sublimated. Zhang Feng did not know if old Du would say anything if he did this. His words had changed a lunatic who was obsessed with literature. He himself did not know whether it was right or wrong, but this was what he had to do. Since Lao Li and the others had thrown this mess to him. As for the rest of the matter, let them have a headache by themselves. Zhang Feng glanced at the pensive Li Qingqian and asked indifferently, "Have you comprehended it?" "No." Li Qingqian shook his head indifferently. He was very confused. His identity as the crown prince had determined his fate. He could not be like Cheng Chumo and the others, who were unrestrained and unrestrained. Even more so, he couldn't be angry over a beauty, and he couldn't have a trip that he could just leave as he wished. In Chang'an City, he could occasionally go crazy, and his father might turn a blind eye to it. However, a shackle had firmly imprisoned him since he was born. What could he think? I know you. You are a natural-born leader and strategist. You are different from them. Zhang Feng looked at Li Chengqian indifferently and said, You give me a very strange feeling. I'm looking at old Li. You're all born to play with power. I don't know if it's because of your business connections, but old Shen doesn't need to say anything. He's born to be unsuitable for business. However, old Sun is a profiteer. He is suitable for negotiating with foreign countries and catering to the imperial court. Old Du and old Fong are not necessary. Old Fong is your butler and accountant. Old Du is not suitable for business. He is a natural-born lobbyist to deal with the people. As for old Wei, he is most suitable for managing money and monitoring. These people are not suitable for business because their strengths and weaknesses are very clear. However, I can't see through you and your father. It's not that I want to see any secrets between you. How can there be no secrets between friends? However, I found one thing. That is, you and your father are natural-born businessmen. You are the kind of people who are above old Sun and old Wei. Tell me, am I right? Li Chengqian was shocked. You know how to read faces? Zhang Feng rolled his eyes. As long as you are not a fool, you can see it. Why do you need to read faces? Do you really think I am a god? Just tell me if it's true or not. Li Chengqian could not help but be even more shocked. He gave a thumbs up. What an expert! This was simply an expert. To be able to see this from the words and actions of the people and their expressions, it was simply. This was incredible. It seemed that he had to be more careful in the future. It was not surprising that he could see something from his father, but how could Li Chengqian not be shocked that he could see it from him? He had already become friends with Chen Chumo and the others. Basically, no one on the streets would associate him with the crown prince. However, Zhang Feng could. How could Li Chengqian not be shocked? Right, brother Zhang Feng, I have a question to ask you. Please speak. Zhang Feng was laughing in his heart. To be able to fool this group of people, it was simply, what he was most afraid of was Du Dabing's mouth and Chen Haniu's slaps. He was simply going crazy. When he was agitated, he would give you a slap. Occasionally, he would even give you a slap. The key was that this slap was like a hammer hitting his body. Zhang Feng had to think of a way to get rid of this group of simple-minded people. As for people with such great strength, what was the most suitable for them? The military camp. As for Du Dabing and Li Chengqian, what was the most suitable for them? Chapter 239. Li Chengqian thought for a long time. Combining the two poems that Zhang Feng recited and the words that he said to Du Go, he could faintly feel that Zhang Feng was standing from the perspective of a businessman. He wanted them to break away from being good merchants and advance in their career. Chen Chumo and the others were strong, so they were undoubtedly the best place to return to the military camp. However, would Emperor Father agree? Would Uncle Cheng and the others agree? He didn't know. Li Chengqian asked, You want them to go to the military camp, but what about Du Dabing and me? Where do you think the two of us are suitable? The two of you? I think the most suitable place is the Ministry of Justice. Zhang Feng said confidently, the Ministry of Justice. Right now, your father and Zhang Sun Wuji have already formed an inseparable bond. Take this cooperative for example. Even if Zhang Sun Wuji wants to break away from your father, he won't be able to do so. Li Chengqian frowned and asked, Why? Isn't it simple? Binding benefits. The instigator of this matter is your father, and your father has already carried it out. Other than the government, who is the first to implement this, which means that the emperor has tacitly approved of it. Do you think that the emperor will hand this matter over to others? Li Chengqian thought for a moment before shaking his head. Isn't that enough? The emperor wants to seize control of the economy, so he will definitely need merchants, and your father is the best candidate. At this time, your crisis has also appeared. The more you walk down this path, the more dangerous it will become. If you don't make use of this opportunity to change your identities, It would be best if one of you can enter the Ministry of Justice while the Emperor is in a good mood. I have observed you for a while now. You are the best candidate. Du Dabing is too stubborn, so he needs someone to restrain him, and you are the key. Thus, I think that you are the best candidate. However, I suggest that you start with the Ministry of Justice, which means that you will be exiled from the army. This way, the Emperor won't be able to see your motives. This way, after the war with the Turks, you will be a meritorious official. Returning to the imperial court as a meritorious official and being conferred a title of nobility will be a matter of minutes. How about it? How do you choose? Li Qingqian was shocked. If his family was really a merchant, then this would be a brilliant plan. Unfortunately, they were the royal family. Royal family? Was there a need to do this? No need. Then why is Zhang Feng in such a hurry for me to clear my identity? Furthermore, he had to protect himself. Could it be that something big was about to happen? Brother Zhang Feng, why does it sound like something big is about to happen? Zhang Feng's voice was grave. Originally, I wanted to say it the night before, but I got drunk. It's not your father's fault. They were just happy. However, you must go back and tell your father and the others about this matter. Tell them to be vigilant. When Li Chengqian saw Zhang Feng like this, he could not help but become somewhat nervous. He hurriedly asked, "Brother, tell me, do you know about the Guanlong group?" Buzz. Li Qingqian's expression suddenly changed. And it was a huge change. Guanlong. That was a taboo word for everyone in the Tang dynasty. It was a name that even the royal family was very afraid of. What's wrong with the Guanlong group? Are they going to shoo? Zhang Feng hurriedly kept quiet. Then he put his arm around Li Qingqian's neck and said, "Keep your voice down. Do you want to die? Do you know the night before? The night your father went back, the Tujue's nest next door was destroyed by the imperial court. Maybe there are people from the imperial court lying in ambush around now. Don't be loud." Li Chengqian hurriedly nodded. Although he knew. "I'm telling you, this is inevitable. The Guanlong group has been controlling the economic lifeline of the Tang dynasty for years. It's impossible to get rid of their control. But now the emperor wants to get rid of their shackles and reorganize the economy of the Tang dynasty. Then, there will be a conflict of interest with the Guanlong group. So, this is inevitable." Li Qingqian was shocked. The Guanlong group, that was a terrifying existence that had destroyed the previous dynasty, and the Li clan had only been able to rise to power because of the Guanlong group's support. That was how they had established the Great Tang dynasty. Imperial Father's greatest wish was to crush the Guanlong group, but now, you're saying that the cooperative has affected their interests? This is inevitable. I suspect that the emperor must have made arrangements. I just want to ask if your father knows about this. If he doesn't, it'll be difficult. My father doesn't know. Then it'll be difficult. Zhang Feng slapped his forehead. He felt a headache coming. Now, go back immediately and tell your father about this, so that you don't get caught in the crossfire. Also, you bastards, get the hell out of here. Otherwise, your families will definitely perish. The size of the Guanlong group is beyond your imagination. Even the emperor doesn't dare to touch it easily. Now that he has, there will be turmoil in the Tang dynasty. Chapter 240. Li Qingqian was aghast. Isn't this too terrifying? At this moment he finally understood why Zhang Feng wanted to find a way out for them. Turns out he already knew that something was going to happen, and it was going to be a big deal. This Guanlong group. This terrifying name, is he going to make a move? Li Qingqian was somewhat alarmed. This name, Zhang Feng didn't explain clearly. Not only can he influence the rise and fall of a dynasty, but he also has the 5 surnames and 7 hopes behind him. This was the most fatal point. If his family was really a businessman, then he would definitely turn around and run, immediately returning home, even if it meant moving his family. They couldn't bear the anger of Guanlong group. Moreover, they were the instigator of this matter. Wait a minute. Li Qingqian seemed to have thought of something, hurriedly asked, "Brother Zhang Feng, this matter was started by you. If the imperial family and Guanlong group were to fight, then wouldn't you be in the most danger?" However, Zhang Feng smiled instead. If you hear that your subordinates are going to rebel, but your subordinate, would you care about his relationship with a tavern manager? And a 20-year-old sloppy shopkeeper at that? This is where I am safe. They still look down on me. To put it bluntly, their target is the emperor and the instigator of this matter, which is your family. But I am the safest existence. You don't have to worry about my safety. However, I'm only guessing about this matter. As for whether the Guanlong group has reached an agreement with the emperor, it's still unknown. The best way is for all of your juniors to retreat to Longyu Road immediately. In this way, even if the situation really explodes to an incalculable extent, you won't lose much. Zhang Feng didn't dare to speak too confidently. If the emperor had reached an agreement with Guanlong group, then their actions would be useless, but if they didn't reach an agreement, then who knows what would happen next. If the matter was too serious, Lao Li and the rest would be frightened, and if they angered Li Shimin, then they would die even faster. However, these words were not the case in Li Qingxian's ears. It would be better if Zhang Feng didn't say anything comforting at the end, but now that he said it, the trouble was really big. Li Qingxian asked with some worry, "Then what do you think, if the emperor is not prepared for this matter, or if the emperor doesn't know about Guanlong Group's conspiracy, then what should we do?" What should we do? Zhang Feng really didn't know. But after thinking, he finally said, "Well, if the emperor is not prepared, if this matter happens, then we have to divert everyone's attention." Hey! I say, why is everyone in your family so strange? Even the emperor isn't anxious? The emperor doesn't know how to be anxious. The eunuch is the eunuch. Zhang Feng rolled his eyes. Seeing that Li Qingxian was so anxious that he was sweating profusely, he scratched his head and said, "Right now, the best way is to create a war at the border." How do you make it? Li Qingxian was anxious. The Guanlong group's influence was very wide. If they didn't make any preparations now, then the consequences would be all over. Let me put it this way. If you were the emperor, then if you encountered this matter, would you divert the attention of this war? Li Qingxian didn't understand Zhang Feng's meaning and hurriedly asked, "Brother Zhang, do you mean to artificially create a war? Or are the Turks about to start a war?" Li Qingxian couldn't figure it out. He couldn't figure it out at all. He didn't know what this war meant, but since Zhang Feng could predict the conspiracy between the Turks and Tubo, then what would it be this time? "I heard from my father that you said before that whoever starts a war first will lose this game, right? And now Tubo and Tuyuhun of the Turks are vaguely showing signs of alliance. If we rashly start a war now, then this fuse will explode, won't it?" "It won't." Zhang Feng waved his hands dismissively. "As for this matter, I said that the emperor isn't anxious, but the eunuch is. Why don't you think about it? Since even you know about it, how can the officials in the royal court not think of it? Do you think that those officials in the royal court are incompetent? What I mean is that if I were that person, I would arrange a military deployment. The lifeline of the Guanlong group is concentrated in Longyu, Longxi, and other places. Even the Silk Road is an important economic region for them. Then, if we were to send a few important figures there in a high-profile manner, such as the Crown Prince, to patrol the world, he would think twice. And because of this matter, the attention of the Turks will also be drawn and their operations will be paused. Although it won't be to the extent of starting a war, the tense atmosphere will be the breakthrough to deal with the Guanlong group. If he dares to make a move, he should first consider whether the economic lifeline he has established there will be lost because of this. Zhang Feng smiled confidently. Pointing to the dazed group, he looked at Li Qingxian and said, "This is the so-called besieging way to save Zhao. This is also the reason why I have you all join the army. It won't be a real war, and it will serve as a deterrent. You all will be able to advance smoothly through this matter. I believe that the officials in the royal court won't let go of this opportunity, right? How about it? Do you want to be promoted?" Chapter 241. Li Qingxian fell silent. This matter was too important. Putting everything else aside, if the crisis of the Guanlong group was really resolved according to Zhang Feng's words, it would indeed be effective. However, he still did not know the deeper meaning behind it. But what if this operation, for example, was to let people know that the crown prince had personally come to the drill ground at the Longyu border? What kind of effect would that have? Presumably, the Turks would be the first to not let him off? Then, let's talk about a double-edged sword. Once the Turks could not help but assassinate him, then an all-out war would be triggered. Although it was good to attack Wei to rescue Zhao, the prerequisite was that Guanlong and the Turks would have some misgivings. And what would their misgivings be? Li Chengqian could not figure it out. At this moment, one after another, Cheng Chumo and the others woke up from the poem and the mood that Zhang Feng had described. Seeing that Li Chengqian had also sunk into deep thought, they could not help but be shocked. Could it be that Zhang Feng was really a god? 2 poems were enough to make everyone look like this? Originally, he had thought that only the fist and Du Dabing's mouth were the most powerful knives. But now, Cheng Chumo suddenly felt that Zhang Feng's mouth was the real sharp weapon. If this was placed on a battlefield with thousands of soldiers and horses, then wouldn't it mean that as long as he sat there and shouted 2 poems, the enemy would disarm? Damn it! At this moment, Zhang Feng finally heaved a sigh of relief. He was a person who threw a brick to attract jade. He wanted these people to find their own path and not blindly follow the crowd. What only the imperial court was suitable to serve the country. That was all bullshit and all talk. If everyone in the world was like that, then who the hell would be guarding the border? And now, after drinking with Lao Li and the others 2 nights ago, and after hearing that the Turk spy had been caught, until today, there were no other rumors or any movement from the Turks. Zhang Feng could not help but feel that something was wrong. What exactly was wrong? Zhang Feng didn't know. However, he could faintly sense that there was a pair of enormous hands that surpassed the Tubo Turks. Perhaps the controller was overlooking everything in Chang'an. This feeling made Zhang Feng very unhappy. Therefore, when Yu Du Go and the others were chatting, Zhang Feng could faintly guess that it was the Guanlong group. At this time, the 5 surnames and 7 hopes would not make a move. However, this Guanlong group was an alliance established in the Guanlong region by the 5 surnames and 7 hopes to handle the economy. That was why it was commonly known as the Guanlong group. The Guanlong group was bound to be paying attention to every move in Chang'an. Although Li Shimin had spread the matter of the cooperative to various states, the source was still in Chang'an, in Li Shimin. This was the most important thing. He didn't know what Li Shimin was thinking, but he, Zhang Feng, had to think of everything that he could think of before Li Shimin. He had to screen out the most correct way to deal with it. And finally, from the moment when he instigated Chen Tinyu and the others to enlist in the army, Zhang Feng finally thought of the best solution. That was the garrison troops that Qing Yaojin and Li Jing had deployed in Yuzhou and Longyu Road. Only when the garrison troops moved, or when a heavyweight in the imperial court suddenly went to the garrison in Longyu, would everyone's guess shift to the garrison in Longyu. Thus, Chang'an would have a chance to breathe. Otherwise, not to mention Li Shimin, as long as the Guanlong group made a move, then in minutes, everyone in Chang'an city would be finished. Right now, all the arrangements had become a wedding dress for the Guanlong group. In the end, when Zhang Feng was immersed in organizing all of this, Li Chengqian and the others quietly left. They had to leave. This matter was too big. On the one hand, Zhang Feng had succeeded in activating the enthusiasm of Du Go and the others to join the army. On the other hand, they also learned from Li Chengqian that they didn't want to hear the 2 words Guanlong. How could they possibly sit still and do nothing? Seeing Zhang Feng in a daze, they hurriedly got up and left. A moment later, everyone followed the gloomy Li Chengqian into the imperial study. After seeing Li Shimin, everyone hurriedly knelt down. Son greets father. Son greets the emperor. Rise. Li Shimin put down the booklet in his hand, rubbed his forehead and asked, "How was it? What did you get from the tavern?" "Father, son wants to go to the military camp with Anywhere Mo and Zhang's son to gain experience," Li Chengqian said. Hearing this, Li Shimin was stunned. "Why do you suddenly want to go to the military camp to gain experience? Tell me, did brother Zhang Feng give you some bewitching potion?" Li Shimin's interest was piqued. He simply stopped thinking about the matter at hand and looked at them curiously. In his memory, these people, except for Du Go, were all well-known bullies in Chang'an city. If not for the fact that they didn't do anything bad, Li Shimin would have already questioned them. But this group of rascals actually wanted to go to the military camp? Li Shimin couldn't help but be interested. Father, yesterday, when we left the palace, we wanted to experience Zhang Feng's spirit, but we were convinced by his 2 poems. What kind of poems are they? They actually made you want to go to the military camp? Hearing this, Li Chengqian tilted his head and nudged Du Go with his elbow. Du Go then reacted and imitated Zhang Feng's tone, saying, drunk, looking at swords under the light, dreaming of blowing the horn in the camp. 800 miles of troops under the scorching heat, 50 miles of sound beyond the Great Wall, soldiers on the battlefield in autumn. The bright moon of the Qin and Han dynasties, the long march of thousands of miles did not return, but the flying generals of Longqing did not teach the horses to cross the Yin Mountains. Chapter 242. At the moment Du Go opened his mouth, Li Shimin was shocked. Xiao Gizi hurriedly threw a brand new piece of paper in front of Li Shimin. Li Shimin followed Du Go's intonation and began to write. But Long Qingfei is here, I won't teach whom Ma to cross Yin Mountain. Good poem. Good poem. Li Shimin looked at the poem in his hand. Every stroke, coupled with Du Go's somewhat tender voice, had a different flavor. Li Shimin felt as if he was seeing the battle at Helan Mountain. This is the poem that Brother Zhang Feng gave you? Li Shimin seemed to understand Zhang Feng's meaning. Seeing everyone nod, he waved his hand and said, pass down the order. Let Wei Jing, Du Ruhui, and Cheng Yaojin enter the palace quickly. Xiao Gizi hurriedly left. Li Shimin waved his hand and dismissed everyone. Then he said, Qingqian, did Brother Zhang Feng say anything else? Or did he say that the Turks are about to make a move? He did not believe that Zhang Feng would say something like this for no reason. Since he had persuaded everyone to join the army and made such a poem, something big must have happened. What could it be? Li Shimin frowned and fell into deep thought. Now, Chang'an city was thriving. Large quantities of trade goods poured into Chang'an, and from all over the world like floodwaters. What was this? This made Li Shimin see a glimmer of prosperity. At this moment, Li Chengqian waited for the palace maids, eunuchs, and guards outside the door to leave. Then he immediately had Zhang Sun, Wei Shuyu, and Cheng Chumo guard the door. At the door, he said, Father, I heard 2 words from Brother Zhang Feng. Guanlong? Guanlong. They spoke almost in unison. Li Shimin and Li Chengqian both said the same word. Hearing this, Li Shimin was shocked. This is impossible. Now, everything in Chang'an city, as well as Liangzhou and Luozhou, was thriving. How could there be any bad signs? Did Brother Zhang Feng say that after drinking? Li Shimin had some doubts. However, Li Chengqian shook his head and said, Imperial Father, Brother Zhang Feng said that he wanted to tell you about this the night you were drinking, but you were all drunk in the end. He said that Imperial Father wants to seize the economy, which will inevitably cause the dissatisfaction of the Guanlong group. Therefore, he proposed to divert the attention of the Guanlong group. Only in this way will I have a chance to deal with it. Hearing this, Li Shimin's expression turned serious again. With Guanlong group's ability, they could find out about this matter in minutes. However, until now, he had not received any information from the Guanlong Corporation. Could it be that the Guanlong Corporation was also observing? Impossible. This was not the Guanlong Corporation's way of doing things. If the Guanlong Corporation wanted to cause trouble, all they needed to do was to cut off all the trade routes to Chang'an. But now, looking at the reports on Chang'an's abundance of goods on the desk as well as the piles of goods, from the warehouses in the imperial city to where all the merchants stocked up, there were even many large items that were stockpiled on the streets of Chang'an city. How could this be a sign that the Guanlong Corporation wanted to cut off the trade routes? And Zhang Feng would definitely not speak without thinking. Tell me everything that happened in the past 2 days. Do go, tell me what you think about this. Li Shimin waved his hand, indicating for the 2 to sit down, then returned to the dragon chair and picked up the teacup. He wanted to drink a mouthful of water to moisten his dry throat, but the hand holding the teacup could not stop trembling. Replying to your majesty, this matter is like this. Du Go and Li Chengqian told Li Shimin in detail everything that happened in the small tavern. At this time, Li Shimin finally understood why Zhang Feng strongly recommended Li Chengqian and the others to go to the border. If they were merchants, then this was really a good opportunity to soar into the sky. Li Shimin could not help but feel a trace of guilt. Until now, brother Zhang Feng had been thinking for him, but what about him? Although he was not a real merchant, wasn't the entire Tang dynasty run by him? If that was the case, he could also be considered a merchant. But this matter, Li Shimin thought about it carefully, and indeed found a trace of strangeness. That was, the goods of these merchants were basically transported in, and very few of them were transported out. Could this be, something was not right? Only entering and not exiting. Once the Guanlong group started to suppress Chang'an, then these hoarded goods would be Li Shimin's life. At this time, if there was a trace of bad news, then the first to panic would definitely be the merchants, and then it would cause panic among the people. Only now did Li Chengqian and Du Go finish recording everything that they had seen and heard. Including the words that Zhang Feng and old Xiaozai had said, Li Chengqian spoke clearly. Then Li Chengqian said, "Father, I think it's better for me to go to Longyu." This matter has not really exploded, which means that the Guanlong group is deploying even greater suppression. If we don't take precautions first, then we will definitely suffer heavy losses. Father's plan to seize economic power will also die in the womb. On the contrary, it will help the Guanlong group. So, Li Chengqian excitedly knelt down and said, "Father, I request to go to Longyu's border. With the crown prince's name of patrolling on behalf of the heavens, this will undoubtedly attract the attention of all forces, and Chang'an's crisis will be relieved. As long as Chang'an's crisis can be resolved, then it won't be so easy for the Guanlong group to plot again." "No! Your Highness, you can't do this." At this time, Wei Zheng's voice could be heard from the outside. Following Wei Zheng were Du Ruhui, Fang Xianling, Zhang Sun Wuji, and Cheng Yaojing. Even Yu Qigong and other generals came together. Chapter 243. While they were talking, Du Ruhui presented a booklet with both hands. "Your Majesty, something happened in Chang'an." Hearing that, Li Shimin's expression suddenly changed. "What?" He hurriedly took the booklet from Du Ruhui's hand and waved his hand. Du Go was also driven out. Du Ruhui didn't care at all. "Your Majesty, when we came here just now, we felt that Chang'an was very strange these 2 days. As for what was strange, I couldn't tell. In the past 3 days, the silver in all the prefectures of the Tang dynasty was basically used up. Almost all the merchants only borrowed and didn't save. The money they saved was not as much as the money they lent. And all the goods in all the prefectures were piled up like mountains. It was too strange. So when we thought about it, we faintly felt that something was wrong. Just now at the door, I happened to hear the conversation between the Crown Prince and Du Go. So I thought, could it be that the suppression of the Guanlong group has begun?" Li Shimin's expression could not help but abruptly change. Finally, he understood what was wrong in Chang'an city. It seemed to be thriving, but the goods from Zhenla and other countries were basically in the city. Few people transported the goods out. This was absolutely impossible. Which merchant, after getting the goods, didn't sell them all over the world? But now when he thought of Guanlong, Li Shimin's forehead couldn't help but be covered with a fine layer of cold sweat. At this time, Yu Qigong cupped his fists and the armor all over his body clanked. "Your Majesty, I'm going back to Chang'an to report the military situation. But on the way, I also found something wrong. Even the shadow of the Guanlong group, which I rarely saw before, appeared among these people. I think, is the seemingly prosperous business in Chang'an city an illusion created by the Guanlong group? Then, why do you think he did this?" Li Shimin waved his hand and asked. Yu Qigong thought for a while and said with a dignified face, "I'm not good at the business skills, but I know military books. There is a saying in military books that if you want to break the morale of the army, you must first destroy its foundation. In other words, rations and fodder. But now, this old official combined with the abnormal situation in Chang'an, and this old official feels that this could be deliberately created by the Guanlong group in order to make the emperor consume a huge amount of financial resources in a short period of time, and then carry out." As he spoke, Yu Qigong made a clenching motion with his hand. This scene caused Li Shimin's eyelids to twitch violently. At this moment, Du Ruhui added, even at this moment, the Crown Prince is patrolling the area in the name of the Emperor. Even though he can suppress the Tufan and the Turks, and even intimidate them, this doesn't affect the Guanlong group in the slightest. Perhaps, Guanlong might even think that this is a signal for the Emperor to declare war. Therefore, I think that it's not the right time yet. We can't act rashly. If the Guanlong group really wants to suppress us, we have to wait until there is some progress in this matter. Now, we must not act rashly. If we act, it means that we have taken the initiative to launch a counterattack. This will only make the Guanlong group crazily suppress us. They might even join forces with the Tubo and the other countries. Li Shimin was a little shocked. Prime Minister Wei, what do you think about this matter? The current situation was too strange. Even if he thought of it, he couldn't move. This kind of discomfort was like punching cotton. This made Li Shimin feel a little depressed. No. Not resist, no. What could he do now? Now that he did not even know what the other party was doing, what could he do? Alright. Zhang Sun Wuji, immediately send out all the people from the Ministry of Justice. They must investigate the situation in Chang'an by tomorrow morning. I want to see if the recent abnormalities in Chang'an are really caused by the Guanlong group's suppression. Yu Qigong, immediately have your personal guards return to the barracks with my rewards. On the way back, make sure to check them carefully. This official obeys. The two of them hurriedly left. Li Chengqian was still standing there. Father, I think that the right way to solve this crisis is to go to the Longxi military camp immediately. Moreover, Brother Zhang Feng also said that only that place is the key to resolving this crisis. No! Li Shimin waved his sleeve. Cheng Yaojin. Yes, Your Majesty. I remember that the various regions have been recruiting more than a month ago, right? Cheng Yaojin bowed and said, Your Majesty, there are only about 30,000 new recruits in the vicinity of Chang'an city this year. They are currently undergoing urgent training in the military camp outside Chang'an city. Immediately take these tens of thousands of people to Longxi with my orders and create a war for me. When Cheng Yaojin heard this, how could he not know what the emperor meant? His eyes flashed and he excitedly clasped his fist. That's great. I haven't fought for a long time. Li Shimin's face darkened. Use your brains before you go to war. Think about how to get the locust eggs out of Longyu. Cheng Yaojin slapped his head and said excitedly, I know. After that, everyone left. Only Li Chengqian was still standing there, stiffening his neck. Li Shimin frowned and scolded, Don't go for now. Learn more from Zhang Feng during this period of time. Don't get so worked up over such a small matter. What's wrong with you? Li Chengqian pursed his lips and suppressed the urge to go to the military camp. I'm stupid. Chapter 244. Cheng Chimo was very excited. He couldn't remember the poem, but on the way back, he used 10 jars of wine and asked Du Go to write it for him. At this time, it was placed on Cheng Yaojin's desk. Looking at the 2 words on the table, Cheng Chimo was so excited that his body was still trembling. His excitement caused the entire Cheng residence to sink into a tense atmosphere. Now that Cheng Yaojin was hurriedly called into the palace by the emperor, they didn't know what would happen. But now, Cheng Chimo had come up with such a plan. At this time, even the concubine who came to serve him was scared by his eyes and quickly went to find Chuishi. When Chuishi saw Cheng Chimo's appearance, she was shocked. My son, are you suffering from hysteria? When Cheng Chimo heard this, he quickly went forward and supported his mother. Mother, I have decided to go to the army camp, like father. Nonsense. Chuishi was shocked. She quickly covered Cheng Chimo's mouth. This matter can't be said outside, don't mention it again. Mother! Now, even the crown prince is begging the emperor to go to the battlefield. How can I lose the prestige of our Cheng family? I have also decided that you must go to the army camp. Before your father hears this, you should just give up on this idea. Otherwise, with your father's temper, you will have to lie in bed for half a year. Chuishi rejected Cheng Chimo. His family was a duke, so many people were watching them. This was the case for a family of generals. A family can't have two generals. They all knew about Cheng Yaojin's talent. Since young, he was very interested in military books and all kinds of military affairs. If Cheng Yaojin wasn't a general or a duke, then he could fight for his future, but if he dared to go to the army camp now, it would bring disaster to the Cheng family. How could Chuishi dare to let such a thing happen? Chumo, I know you and I understand you, but this matter is too complicated. I know that you have been wrong these years, but you didn't come back last night, and now you are shouting about going to the battlefield. Are you hysterical? Or are you provoked? If you are bullied, say it, I will help you. My Cheng family's servants are all veterans who accompanied your father when he retired. Just say the word and this old lady will personally help you get back at them. When Cheng Chumo heard this, he was shocked. If this old lady were to find out about Brother Zhang Feng, wouldn't Brother Zhang Feng be doomed? He was a weak person who couldn't even withstand a slap. Thinking of this, Cheng Chumo quickly pulled Madame Chui's hand and said, Mother, look at this. As he spoke, Cheng Chumo solemnly opened one of the paintings. Chuishi used to be the daughter of a big family, so she had dabbled in calligraphy and paintings, especially those made by famous masters. These years, if it wasn't for her, this house would have become Cheng Yaojin's training ground. Those antique calligraphy and paintings must be used as fuel for the fire. At this moment, Miss Chui was completely stunned when she saw this piece of calligraphy. Drunk, looking at the sword under the lamp, dreaming of blowing the horn at the camp. Chumo, where did you get this poem? Chuishi's face became unusually dignified for the first time. She couldn't help but think of the two paintings in Cheng Yaojin's study room. Although the handwriting looked different, it was definitely written by the same person. Cheng Chumo saw that his mother was deflated, so he couldn't help but straighten his back. This is my brother Zhang Feng's calligraphy. How is it, mother, with the artistic conception in this painting, do you think that I should go to the battlefield? That's where I should go. What kind of poem can make you two have such expressions? At this moment, Cheng Yaojin's loud voice sounded from outside the door. Cheng Chumo was excited. He raised the painting and read it to Cheng Yaojin. Drunk, looking at the sword under the lamp, dreaming of blowing the horn at the camp, 800 miles under the command of his subordinates, 50 bowstrings sound beyond the Great Wall, the autumn soldiers on the battlefield. The horse moves quickly, the bow is like thunder, the string is frightening. Accomplishing the affairs of the world, winning fame in life and behind. Pitiful for nothing. Father, how is this poem? Cheng Yaojin glanced at Cheng Chumo indifferently. This was made by Zhang Feng? That's right. Father, I went to the tavern with Cheng Qian and the others yesterday. We were all bowed down to Brother Zhang Feng's talent, so perhaps Cheng Qian, Zhang Sun Chong, and the others are thinking of a way to go to the military camp right now. Cheng Yaojin heard this and stroked his beard. No one could see any change in his expression. His Majesty knows about this. His Majesty's intention is for all of you to stay obediently for Lao Tzu and learn more useful things from Zhang Feng. The Crown Prince was blocked, but you? Do you think you're worthy of going to the battlefield? You haven't embarrassed Lao Tzu enough. Get out of here. Take advantage of the fact that Lao Tzu hasn't gotten angry yet. The excitement in Cheng Chumo's eyes slowly disappeared. However, when he heard that the Crown Prince couldn't go, and when he heard his father's words, he hurriedly ran away. When Cheng Chumo ran away, Cheng Yaojin's expression immediately became excited. Madam, hurry and read the words for me again. Old man is so excited that he can't stand up. Chapter 245. In a tea house next to the Jinshui Bridge in Chang'an City. Although it was noon and the place was usually crowded with customers, it was quiet at the moment. Burly men surrounded the tea house so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. If anyone dared to come close, they would invite them to take a cold bath in the Jinshui River for free. On the second floor of the tea house, a few spoiled brats sat dejectedly at the tea table and sighed. Say something, Cheng Qian. If you can't think of a way, our chance to bring glory to our ancestors is gone. That's right. My legs were almost broken by my father. If Tai Nyo had come in time, my father would probably have broken my leg by now. Wei Shuyu was depressed to the extreme. He even politely read the 2 poems to his father. When he saw his father writing, he said what he wanted to say the most. However, what welcomed him was the inkstone that his father loved so much. Thinking about it now, Wei Shuyu's legs were shaking. If he didn't want to go, so be it. Did he have to be so angry and chase him all over the courtyard? Did you see Zhang Sunchong? His house is so close to here, why hasn't he come yet? Du Go asked doubtfully. Du Go had been covering his face the whole time. Now that he turned around, everyone finally understood why he was covering his face. This grandson had also been beaten up. As for who beat him up, don't even think about it. Other than Du Ruhui, who else could it be? Li Chengqian waved his hand and said, "We're not waiting anymore. Even if Chongzi isn't dead, he'll lose a layer of skin. He won't be coming today. Let me tell my father's intentions first." When everyone heard that, they hurriedly held their breaths. "I've already told my father about our situation. My father's intention is that we are not allowed to go to the battlefield. I think this matter has something to do with Guanlong. If they know that the Crown Prince personally went to the barracks, it might anger the Guanlong group. My father's intention is to let us continue to stay in Chang'an and learn from Zhang Feng." When everyone heard that, they couldn't help but sigh. Since the emperor had said so, they really didn't have any chance at all. If the emperor opened his mouth and allowed Li Chengqian to go to Longyu, then they could use the identity of the crown prince's bodyguards to mix and mingle in the military camp. If they could get a little bit of military merit at the border, that would be even better. But now, even the emperor was terrified. And from the looks of it, this matter seems to be even more serious. Just like what Brother Zhang Feng said, it seems that the emperor is really not prepared for this matter at all. What should we do? Qingqian, should we intervene in this matter? If we take action, I believe that everything in Chang'an city will be revealed sooner. In the end, Cheng Chumo couldn't stay idle. Everything was caused by this matter. If this matter was resolved, did it mean that they could go to the border battlefield? Cheng Chumo's blood was boiling as he thought about the possibility of war with Tubo, the Turkic Khaganate, and the distant India in the future. No! Li Qingqian shook his head. We don't know how Imperial Father will deal with this matter. If we investigate on our own, we'll probably hinder Imperial Father's plans. So, then we're just going to watch. Chen Chumo was anxious. Let's just pretend that this matter didn't happen. Let's do as Imperial Father said and go to Zhang Feng's little tavern first to learn his mysterious ability. If we learn it, then we'll benefit greatly for the rest of our lives. I agree with Chengqian. This time, Du Go didn't nag, but he agreed with Li Qingqian's decision. At this moment, there was a flurry of footsteps. Zhang Sun, with a bloody nose and a swollen face, was carried over. Originally, Zhang Sun was still a little embarrassed, but when he saw the palm print on Du Go's face and the bruise on Wei Shuyu's nose, he instantly understood what had happened. Damn, brothers, why are you all fine? I was beaten up badly by my old man. Hearing this, Du Go pointed at Wei Shuyu. He was almost beaten to death by his father. If not for Cheng Chumo, his legs would probably be broken by now. But to be honest, Cheng Chumo, why are you fine? Du Go quickly reacted and asked. Cheng Chumo puffed up his chest. My father is wise and powerful, how could he? Scram. Your father is wise and powerful? Wei Shuyu exploded. She and Zhang Sun roared at the two of them in disdain. At this moment, Du Go said mysteriously, I remember now, it's the poem I wrote for you about Brother Zhang Feng. Stop talking. Brother, don't talk anymore. Cheng Chumo was anxious. Only then did everyone come to a realization. If I knew earlier, why didn't I prepare in advance? This was really a case of being too smart for your own good. If the silly Cheng Chumo could think of this, how could they not? No, for the sake of their future happiness, they had to ask Brother Zhang Feng for 180 fortune characters. This thing was a life-saving talisman. Let's go. Brothers, let's go find Brother Zhang Feng. Didn't our fathers say to go find him to play? Go, go, go. What are we waiting for? Under Zhang Xuan's urging, everyone could not help but slap their heads and hurriedly get up and leave. Chapter 246. Zhang Feng was depressed. He was extremely depressed. Staring at the big pile of tiger meat on the salted water pot, he felt a headache coming on. He wanted to give it away, but no one dared to take it. Although the meat was good, obviously, as a slave, no one deserved to eat it. Just one sentence. No one deserved it. That gave Zhang Feng a headache. This group of idiots, they were really the bullies of Chang'an City. They had already thought of this point. If it weren't for the fact that he had sworn to give the tiger's innards and penis to the old Xiaozai, Zhuzi monkey, and old he, the army of flies would have made Zhang Feng have the urge to move out of his house. He had said that when he left, each of them would take a piece. Well, they all ran away. Zhang Feng fiddled with the 4 tiger claws and went to the medicine store to buy some herbs to make a big jar of tiger bone wine. But what should he do with the rest of the meat? The meat was very astringent and dry. If he made it into jerky, it would be like chewing tree roots. But if he didn't deal with it, he couldn't just let the meat rot, right? Zhang Feng had a headache. He lowered his head and put the firewood under the pot, letting the boiling salt water in the pot smoke the tiger meat. And at that moment, a few small heads carefully poked in through the curtain of the backyard. It was Guzi and the others. They were looking at the meat on the pot and swallowing their saliva. Guzi! What are you doing? At that moment, the old scholar's angry voice sounded behind them. They were so scared that they wanted to run away. At that moment, Zhang Feng also heard the voice. He hurriedly turned his head and his eyes lit up. Guzi! Come here, do you want to eat tiger meat? Just one sentence. Guzi and the others were rooted to the ground. The old scholar glared at Zhang Feng, exasperated at his failure to live up to his expectations. It seems that you really want to spoil them. Zhang Feng chuckled. Isn't it because the meat will spoil if they don't eat it? Come. Old elementary scholar, you came just in time. I just made a big pot of tiger bone soup and was thinking of sending it over to you. Since you're here, let's have a drink or two. You. The old elementary scholar sighed and waved his hand. He fished out a bag of snacks from within his robes. He had originally intended to give it to Zhang Feng as thanks for his tiger penis, but now he had given it to these children. Seeing the children timidly snatch the packets of snacks from the old scholar's hands and play around in the small courtyard, the old scholar's eyes couldn't help but reveal a trace of kindness as he looked at the children. He had no children. He didn't even have any relatives. He had lived his entire life in fear, not daring to do anything. The only reason he dared to walk out of the house he had left and onto the streets was because of his courage. On one hand, it was because he was poor and needed to eat. More importantly, he wanted to see this group of children. These children represented vitality. He always felt that a person's house was no different from a grave. Old Xiaozai, what's wrong? Did he miss her? Sometimes I think that since you're so talented and knowledgeable, why don't you teach these children how to read? If that's the case, don't say it again. Before Zhang Feng could finish, the old scholar had already interrupted him. Are you trying to send this old man and this group of children to their deaths? If I really did that, the Imperial College would be the first to come after me. Do you think that knowledge is something that anyone can do? Can anyone teach others? Zhang Feng pursed his lips. Then tell me, among these people, some of them can read a little. Didn't they become apprentices in the neighborhood? Don't tell me you want your stomach full of knowledge to be buried just like that. The old scholar shook his head bitterly. Fengzi, pour me a bowl of wine. Zhang Feng knew the old scholar's current situation. He got up and scooped out a big bowl of bone soup from the pot. He ordered the lackey and the others to wash their hands and then filled the bowl himself. Then he cut a big piece of cooked tiger meat from the steaming pot, seasoned it, and put it on the small table. After that, he took a jar of 35% low-alcohol wine and poured a bowl for old Xiaozai. The meat was very fresh and salty. The old scholar ate a piece, curled his lips, and drank the wine. Fengzi, you know my identity. Do you think that with my identity, the emperor and the laws of the Tang dynasty will allow me to teach and take in disciples? What's the difference between this and rebellion? Well, Zhang Feng fell silent. He had been thinking about finding an opportunity to tell old Xiaozai to open a private school. On the one hand, it could let the lackey and the children of the slaves gain more knowledge. On the other hand, it could also let old Xiaozai not be so lonely. It was a kind of suffering where one had a lot of skills but no place to show them. He understood. To put it bluntly, he and the old scholar were the same kind of people. However, he still forgot the laws of this era. Zhang Feng sighed deeply. Just you wait, old scholar. One day, I will let you stand in front of the private school with your head held high, and let these kids call you teacher with respect. How can you leave me out of this matter? Yes, brother Zhang Feng. How about we teach these children too? Chapter 247. Along with the voice. Go, Z and Th stopped making noise and stood timidly in the corner. They looked at the people who were dressed so extravagantly in fear. They knew these people. Their parents had warned them not to offend these people. These were the bullies of Chang'an city. They even dared to kill the tiger of the emperor's imperial plantation. They should never offend such people. They had to run as far as they could. At this time, Zhang Feng also saw the people who had left and returned. The old scholar sighed, clasped his hands and walked away unsteadily. When he left, he took Zhang Feng's jar of wine and the big bowl of meat soup with him. Zhang Feng didn't care. These were for the old scholar. You guys, why did you come back? Zhang Feng rolled his eyes. I thought you had gone to Longyu. Zhang Feng waved his hand and took out 2 tiger hind legs from the pot. He put them on a bamboo rake and handed them to Guzi to share. Then he looked speechlessly at Chengchumo and the others who were holding a jar of wine. Isn't it because our father doesn't want us to go? We are tired of Chang'an city. You are the best. So, get out of here. Zhang Feng rolled his eyes. Are you addicted to eating for free? Of course not. What do you want us to do? We promise you we will do a good job. Chengchumo said directly. Zhang Feng's eyes were wide open. Do these guys mean they are going to stay here? I can't even drive them away? Zhang Feng didn't believe it and said, Then you go chop firewood for me. I want you to fill up the yard by tonight. Chengchumo looked at Zhang Feng strangely and asked, Are you sure? Okay, deal. Chengchumo casually agreed, took a sip of wine, and went out with the wine jug in his arms. Zhang Feng's eyes were wide open. Li Chengqian smiled faintly and said, Brother Zhang Feng, don't struggle. We came this time because we were chased out by our father and have nowhere to go. Moreover, we were also attracted by your miraculous cooking and drinking skills. So, don't waste your time. Just tell me, what else do you want to do? I guarantee that all of them will satisfy you as soon as possible. Zhang Feng was completely dumbfounded. What the hell? Okay. You don't leave. You do. Go and fetch water for me from the ancient well outside the city. Look, all 10 vats in this courtyard are filled to the brim. Before it's too dark. Idiot Wei. Wei Shuyu's face darkened when she heard that. My name is Wei Yu. Bathroom? Damn, this name. Zhang Feng was stunned. He was almost led astray by Wei Shuyu. They went to the front hall. Clean up the front hall for me. Don't leave a speck of dust. And you, Zhang Feng pointed at Li Chengqian. He thought for a while. There was really nothing to do now. But when he saw the meat on the pot, he smiled. Before the sky turns dark, steam the meat for me. Then cut it into 2 long strips. Okay. Li Chengqian smiled, cupped his hands, and went to the backyard. Zhang Feng was a little confused. Why wasn't this according to the plot? Damn it. Is there a problem somewhere? Zhang Feng couldn't figure it out, but looking at the setting sun, he took out 2 buckets, scooped the broth from the pot into the buckets, and carried them out of the door. He wanted to distribute the broth and bone broth to the neighbors before the sky turned dark. This was a good thing. He couldn't finish it all by himself. It was better to share it with the neighbors and let them have a taste. Tiger bone broth was a very rare thing even in the Tang dynasty. Today, thanks to the Empress, he would let everyone have a taste of this thing. A ladle of soup was delivered for more than 2 hours. Then, it was filled to the brim with treasures that each family was reluctant to eat. She brought it back for him. But when he came back, he was stunned. In the tavern's hall, all the tables and chairs were replaced with mahogany furniture. Even the counter was replaced with the most popular thing with a baffle that could open and close. This thing even came with a secret drawer. Zhang Feng wanted to buy it, but it cost 300 strings of string of coins. Zhang Feng touched the silver ingot in his arms and decided not to buy it. But now, this thing was placed neatly in the hall with the priceless mahogany tables and chairs. How could Zhang Feng not feel dizzy? What's going on? Did I come to the wrong door? Zhang Feng asked as he looked at Chang'an and the others sitting in the hall, each holding a big bowl of tiger bone broth and gnawing on a big lump of meat. When Zhang Feng's voice fell, everyone burst into laughter. Ha! Li Gan, you lost, didn't you? Come, bring the money. 10 taels per person. Don't go back on your word. Zhang Feng was speechless. On the other hand, there was not a single speck of dust on the floor and the plaque above the tavern counter that said, honest to all. He didn't know how Wei Shuyu did it. But looking at the money bags in their hands, Zhang Feng seemed to understand something. This group of bastards had used money to settle all the difficulties he had created for him. Chapter 248. Without looking at the backyard, Zhang Feng knew that if Chen Tiniu couldn't even handle this matter properly, he wouldn't be sitting here so comfortably. Zhang Feng simply threw the bucket away. He sat at the table, grabbed a piece of pork rib, and started chewing. Brother, aren't you going to the backyard to take a look? Go where? Go and be abused. Do you think you're so great just because you're rich? Zhang Feng said sulkily. Everyone burst into laughter. Brother Zhang Feng, we've been sneaky in this matter, but you know which one of us is made for work. So, you're a magnanimous person, so why don't you teach us your true abilities? Hey, damn it, do you think stealing knowledge is something to be proud of? Zhang Feng laughed when he heard that. It's not impossible to teach you, but there's a problem. Everyone's eyes lit up when they heard Zhang Feng say that there was a chance. Tell us. Everyone said in unison. Zhang Feng thought for a moment, then pretended to be serious and said, the things I know are very complicated, but to you, they're all at the level of the Kuei treasure, such as the ability to control the entire situation. Li Gan, do you want it? Li Qingqian cupped his fists excitedly and was about to get up to bow to his master, but he was stopped by Zhang Feng with a wave of his hand. Then he said, Du Dabing, you want my knowledge, don't you? Especially the understanding of poetry, literature, Confucianism, and Taoism, right? Indeed. I really can't sleep and eat well because of this. I hope that Brother Zhang Feng can. Wait. Zhang Feng asked again. The three of you, needless to say, are definitely made for martial arts. I have a Peerless martial arts manual here, if you don't. This thing, if it's completed, although it won't make you invulnerable on the battlefield, just its ability alone will allow you to complete at least 100 kills in a short 3 years of practice. Passing through tens of thousands of troops and taking the enemy's head casually, you don't want such an ability. Motherf asterisk Ker, stop wasting time. As long as you're willing to teach me, Lao Tzu will even give you his life. The eyes of Chang'an and the others turned red. They clenched their fists so tightly that they made popping sounds. However, at this moment, Zhang Feng smiled slyly. Everyone was so angry that they wanted to beat him up. Zhang Feng placed his hands behind his back and slowly paced around the hall. I'll teach you. That's impossible. Go back first, pick an auspicious day, bring gifts, and come to me. Otherwise, I won't teach you. Oh, by the way, let me mention this. Zhang Feng said as he set off another bomb. Wei Yu is agile, suitable for long-distance raids and assassinations. Tai Niu is suitable for tanks, that is, heavy infantry or cavalry. As for Buggy, I have calculated that you are suitable for light cavalry, the kind that can travel thousands of miles alone. What do you think? Yes. F***ck, Brother Zhang Feng, you're a god. You can even calculate that? Brother Zhang Feng, take a look at me. What path is suitable for me? Du Go was so anxious that his eyes turned red. They had never told Zhang Feng about these things, and Chang'an was a reckless man. Thinking about it carefully, this heavy armor was indeed suitable for him to charge around recklessly. Zhang Sunchong was also the same. Riding alone for thousands of miles, his idol was Zhao Zilong, and he was walking on his own path. As for Wei Shuyu, everyone really didn't know what path he was suitable for. But now that they heard it, it seemed to be the case. Du Go and Li Chengqian couldn't sit still anymore. Zhang Feng pretended to be sleepy and rubbed his shoulders as if his whole body was uncomfortable. The stubborn people were so anxious that they hurriedly invited him to sit on a stool. Then they massaged his arms and legs. After a while, Zhang Feng said, "Big Pie, if you want to do business, then start with mathematics. I have a field that you have never touched before. If you can learn this, even if you have to manage all the merchants in the world, you will be able to do it with ease. In fact, don't we have a cooperative now? As long as you learn quickly, when the emperor is happy, it won't be a problem to make you the Minister of Works." Minister of Works? Minister of Works before the age of 30? Was it possible? Others might think it was impossible, but for Zhang Feng, based on the ability he had shown before, everyone believed that he could definitely train Du Go. And now, it was Li Chengqian's turn. Li Chengqian couldn't help but worry. He didn't know how Zhang Feng would arrange for him, but he was also looking forward to it. To others, he might only talk about one aspect, but what about him? Zhang Feng said that he was suitable for governing. Could it be that he really wants to teach me the secret of controlling the entire situation? Li Chengqian's heart couldn't help but beat wildly. Finally, he understood why his father had sent him to learn more from Zhang Feng. It's just like the plan for Tubo and other countries. Who would have thought of this plan? Who would dare to think this way? And the cooperative now. Who would dare to do this? At this moment, Du Go, Wei Shuyu, and the rest couldn't help but stand up. Their eyes were fixed on Zhang Feng, who was really narrowing his eyes. They wanted to see what he would teach Li Chengqian. But after waiting for a while, Zhang Feng said, "As for you, the path I am going to teach you is very difficult. Do you want to learn it?" Learn. Chapter 249. How could Li Chengqian not learn it? Everyone wanted to learn that ability, right? Moreover, it was rumored to be Mr. Kongming's teacher. Although he knew that Zhang Feng was bragging, it would be crucial for the future of the Tang dynasty if he could learn how to strategize for the neighboring countries. It would even be impossible to expand the territory of the Tang dynasty by more than half. How could Li Chengqian not want to learn it? At that moment, Du Go, Tongsun, and the others were also shocked. They wanted that kind of ability as well. However, they also knew that they were not worthy of it. They were not worthy of learning it. However, although they were not worthy of learning it, they could at least listen to it, right? Cheng Chumo rubbed his hands and said with a smile, "Brother Zhang Feng, can you tell us first, what exactly did you teach Li Gan? Let us brothers broaden our horizons." "That's right, Brother Zhang Feng. Why don't you tell us about it? Although we can't learn it, we can at least learn a little." Brother Zhang Feng. Li Chengqian also stood up excitedly and prepared to bow to him. Zhang Feng waved his hand. "What are you doing? I haven't accepted you as my disciple yet. Put away your tricks. It's not easy to learn my ability. You have to think carefully." Zhang Feng narrowed his eyes and enjoyed the treatment. He was indeed bragging, but he really had the ability to train these people to be a level better than the current people. That was a must. After all, he had experienced military training in university for a few years. Coupled with his own combination of some things from the Tang dynasty, he would tire this group of fools to death. They had nowhere to expend their energy, right? Then I'll do it for you. As for dating, that was easy. The elementary school physics and arithmetic problems were enough for him to study for a lifetime. As for Li Gan, that was a little more difficult. But who was he? He was Zhang Feng. How could that be difficult for him? All right, since you're so eager, I'll tell you something first. Do you know about the 9 transformations, 8 trigrams? Li Chengqian frowned and thought for a moment. Yes, I know. I've heard that the crown prince is following Yuan Tiangang, the #1 genius of the Tang dynasty. He's a master of martial arts. There was really such a person as Yuan Tiangang. Zhang Feng thought for a moment and said, "That's right. Yuan Tiangang is indeed quite capable. However, he knows at least the Book of Changes. As for the mysterious Book of Changes, go and ask him if he knows anything about it." Strange scriptures? Li Chengqian was shocked. For so many years, he had been learning from Yuan Tiangang, but he had never heard of any extraordinary scriptures. Could it be that everything Zhang Feng said was because of the mystic scripture? This ancient book was rumored to be a priceless treasure. Whoever could obtain it would obtain the world. In the past, the first emperor was able to unify the 6 nations and accomplish an unprecedented feat because he had obtained the mysterious scripture. He even called himself the emperor. Although this secret wasn't in the history books, there were many records of it in the royal family's secrets. At this moment, Zhang Feng actually said that it was an extraordinary book. Could it be he had really mastered the extraordinary book? Li Qingqian was shocked. Du Go was shocked. Cheng Chumo scratched his head with a puzzled expression. He exchanged glances with Zhang Sun and Wei Shuyu. Their eyes were full of confusion. Excuse me, what is this extraordinary scripture? Cheng Chumo finally looked at Zhang Feng and asked. Zhang Feng smiled mysteriously. Only ghosts would know what an extraordinary scripture was. He was just bragging according to the novels he had read in his previous life. As for the existence of an extraordinary scripture, he disdained it. If such a thing really existed in the world, would Wuxia have been reduced to such a state thousands of years later? Zhang Feng yawned and waved his hand. Alright, it's getting late. Go and think about it carefully. If you've made up your mind, choose an auspicious day and come back with your gifts. Seeing Zhang Feng chasing them away, they weren't angry. Even Li Qingqian bowed even more respectfully than before. He bowed with sincerity and said, "Then we won't disturb Brother Zhang Feng anymore. We'll come again another day. However, I have a presumptuous request. Brother Zhang Feng, it's better to keep this extraordinary scripture a secret. If it gets out, even the current emperor can't protect you." What did he mean? Zhang Feng was confused. Hey, don't go. Tell me clearly before you go. Is there really such a thing? Zhang Feng sat up, but Li Qingqian and the others had already disappeared into the night. It's over. *CK. Zhang Feng wished he could give himself a few tight slaps on the face. This stupid mouth. *CKU. If you don't *King say anything, why did you talk about an extraordinary scripture in the Tang dynasty when superstition was at its peak and in front of that old faker Yuan Tiangang? *CK. It's over. This time I'm really in trouble. In the history books, he just remembered how many absurd things Yuan Tiangang had done in order to get the extraordinary scripture. *CK. Could it be that this extraordinary scripture really existed? It's over. Where would Lao Tzu get the extraordinary scripture for you? Zhang Feng wanted to cry at this time. This was really casually bragging. Now he couldn't take it back even if he wanted to. He didn't know how many lies he would have to make up for this thing in the end. Alas! Lao Tzu's mouth. Despicable. Chapter 250. Li Qingqian excitedly rushed back to the Eastern Palace. He didn't even have time to change his clothes before he rushed to Taiji Palace. As soon as he entered, he saw Li Shimin sitting in front of the desk with one hand on his forehead, thinking about something. Li Qingqian quietly dismissed all the palace maids and eunuchs, then personally dismissed all the guards outside the door. Only then did he cautiously walk in front of Li Shimin. Li Shimin was a little confused. But after seeing Li Qingqian's gesture of silence, he patiently waited to see what Li Qingqian wanted to do. He saw Li Qingqian write the words, "Extraordinary Scripture," on the paper. Li Shimin's eyes involuntarily narrowed. "Come with me." Li Shimin's body exploded with an intimidating aura. He stood up and said in a low voice. Then, as if he was still worried, he ordered, "Little Gizi, your servant is here. Without my permission, no one is allowed to enter the imperial study. Violators will be beheaded. I have something to discuss with the crown prince." "As you command." After giving his orders, Li Shimin lightly knocked twice on a luminous pearl inlaid on the back of the dragon throne. Then, with a twist, the luminous pearl was knocked out. Then, at this moment, a dark, bottomless hole appeared on the floor below the dragon throne. Li Shimin took out 2 oil lamps from the bookshelf, handed one to Li Qingqian, and held the other for himself. Then he cautiously walked down the vertical secret passage. The secret passage wasn't wide and could only accommodate one person going down at the same time. When the two of them had walked about 15 steps, Li Shimin lit an oil lamp on the wall. Then, he pressed a protrusion on the side of the lamp, and the secret passage above them was covered again. So far, Li Shimin had not said a single word, and Li Chengqian had not said a single word. Li Chengqian was very shocked, but after thinking about it he felt relieved. Who didn't have some secrets? What more his father? The two of them walked along the ice-cold steps. After about the time it took to brew a cup of tea, they arrived at a huge underground palace. The interior of the underground palace was luxuriously decorated, but there wasn't even a speck of dust on it. Clearly, Li Shimin often came to this underground palace. Furthermore, this underground palace was filled with bookshelves. Looking carefully, Li Chengqian was shocked. The books on it were all forbidden books of the Tang dynasty. There were even classical stories from the previous dynasty and so on. For example, there were many Daoist classics and authentic manuscripts of Confucius. Regarding this, Li Chengqian did not find it strange. On the contrary, if Imperial Father did not have this place, then it would really be strange. Chengqian, tell me in detail. What exactly is this extraordinary scripture? Li Shimin asked as he sat on a soft couch. He waved his hand, indicating for Li Chengqian to sit down as well. Only then did Li Chengqian say, Imperial Father, today Zhang Feng agreed to take us as disciples. He also said that he can make Chengchumo into a heavy armored cavalry that can be defeated by anyone. He can also make Zhang Sun into a warrior who can ride alone for 1,000 miles and take the head of a general in the midst of 1,000,000 soldiers. He can also make Wei Shiyu practice that supreme assassination technique that can come and go without a trace. Dugo can even make him master the art of arithmetic that can control the wealth of the world. As for me, Li Chengqian paused, then said with a burning gaze, he said that he will make me master the extraordinary scripture that even Mr. Yuan Tiangang did not master. I found out from his words that he was able to control the layout of the countries around the Tang dynasty because of the extraordinary scripture. That's why I hurriedly returned. On one hand, Brother Zhang Feng wanted us to prepare the ceremony for becoming his disciple. On the other hand, I wanted to talk to Imperial Father about this matter. After all, whether it's us, the 5 clans and 7 hopes, or even outsiders, we are all looking for the extraordinary scripture. Was there really an extraordinary scripture? Li Shimin had always been disdainful of these things. But now, he couldn't help but feel a little confused. He never believed that there were demons, ghosts, and gods in the world. But now, he learned about the extraordinary scripture. Moreover, this was a secret that only the royal family knew. How did Zhang Feng know about it? Was he really an old monster who had cultivated for 5,000 years? But when he thought about it, he felt that it was impossible. If he really had such great ability, how could he not know his identity? But how could he explain the current situation? Li Shimin couldn't figure it out, but he definitely didn't believe that Zhang Feng was an old monster who had lived for 5,000 years. As for this extraordinary scripture, did it really exist in ancient legends? Li Shimin didn't believe it. But Zhang Feng's ability, from the art of making salt to the strange cooking and brewing methods, and what he said about some of the things that were being implemented in the Tang dynasty, were all things that had never been done before and would never be done in the future. How could these be explained? Li Shimin couldn't figure it out. He couldn't figure it out either. So, Li Shimin couldn't help but feel a headache coming on. He waved his hand and motioned to Li Chengqian. Don't mention this to anyone. Have you warned Chengchumo and the others about the consequences if they don't keep their mouths shut? Li Shimin's eyes flashed with killing intent. This killing intent made Li Chengqian feel a deep sense of fear. I've already warned them about this matter. I think they won't dare to be careless in this matter. Li Shimin heard that and breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. We also don't want to commit more killings, but if this matter were to spread, the Great Tang would definitely face a calamity of destruction. Remember, it's better to kill 1,000 by mistake than to let this matter spread. Li Chengqian hurriedly got up. I understand. You may leave. Remember, learn well from Brother Zhang Feng. Every night, I want you to learn everything you hear, think, and learn that day. Yes, Your Majesty.